Today is the day, everybody. It is the Queen stage of the Giro d'Italia, and we're ready. 142.8 kilometres to go. This is the mighty Mortirolo on the way up, and there is Luis Leon Sanchez with Omar Fraile behind in the blue jersey. Both of these guys looking for King of the Mountains points. It's been a fast start to the day. 50 kilometres out there ridden in the first hour. Absolutely relentless pace. And of course the Giro d'Italia is onto its Queen stage today, the biggest day we expect for the general classification, but today is just one of many days from start to end where we're going to have action in the overall general classification. 53 seconds for a group up the road at the minute. So far today I can tell you that we've had 174 riders starting, 4 riders not starting in Bonnet, Albanese, Gibbons and Edmondson. 2 riders already abandoning in Ben Hermans of BMC Racing and Kenny Elisande. And we've got 5,500 metres of altitude gain to take on. 222 kilometres in total. Brian Smith's alongside me, and Brian, well, today's a day where everything could be turned on its head.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of nerves on the start line today, and rightly so. I can remember riding at a very similar stage, and I was nervous, and I didn't even know what was going to play out. And today's stage for Sunweb, it's they're really under the cosh a little bit. They've done well getting trying to get riders in the breakaway to try and go over the Mortirolo, because I was fearful a little bit that they wouldn't have any help after the Mortirolo, and there would only be one rider, Lawrence Tendam, with the pink jersey, because there's 20 kilometres up the valley and then they hit the Stelvio again. But it's been fireworks right from the start today, Rob, and it's not been easy for any team, and already the average speed is in the early 40s, and it was close. The first hour was run off at just over 50 kilometres an hour. It's going to be non-action, non-stop action all day today.
Well, non-stop action already. It's a beautiful day. The weather is absolutely stunning. Snow at the top of the Stelvio, we know that. And we're going to have all sorts of people who've been camping out there. It's a big day for Sunweb as well. And of course we have special Scarponi bidons. Astana have new bottles made with the image of Frankie the macaw on the sides. Today, remember, we're on the Cima Scarponi right now on the Mortirolo. Double King of the Mountains points up for grabs here. As you can see, there are not many left in the group already. This is the group a little further up the road with Kruiswijk. One of the most difficult stages of this year's Giro d'Italia, and perhaps the hardest. Anybody suffering post-rest day blues today will be out of the game in the fight for pink. Realistically, you can't afford to have a bad day today. It is that simple. We're climbing the Mortirolo, the first of 3 mighty climbs on the menu today. 222 kilometres, that's the stage length. 5,500 metres of climbing to be taken on by 174 riders who started stage 16 of the Giro d'Italia, the final week of racing. It's mountains, it's hellish from here on in, and we already had a hellish start today. I can tell you that 50 kilometres were covered in the first hour. No break allowed to go until 63 kilometres into the race. That's when 27 riders went up the hill. They went up the road and many were caught already. We had Sunweb putting 2 riders in there. We have Astana now with a man out the front. But it's all changed. It's all been brought back together. And a new group has gone up the road. We're climbing the Mortirolo. The Mortirolo this year is designated Cima Scarponi. And of course, this was the springboard last time Michele Scarponi, the late Michele Scarponi, won a Giro d'Italia stage at Aprica in 2010. All that means is that there are double King of the Mountain points on offer for all. So the winner here takes 70 points at the top, 36 for second, 24 for third, and so on. Brian Smith's alongside me in the commentary box. And Brian, We've had 2 hours of racing already. It has been non-stop. Riders going to pay for these efforts either later today, a few days down the line. Look at that average speed at 40.3. It's going to be just as we wanted today, an absolute show.
Yeah, and that's why we decided to come early, because we didn't want to miss any of the action, and it's been action right from the start. And I really have to worry now about Sunweb. Sunweb, there was an initial group went away. They had a couple of riders in there. We had the Mortirolo, and there's some more riders going across to the original breakaway. Omar Fraley and Lewis Lee and Sanchez chasing the King of the Mountains points. But it looks as if Movistar have got 3 yet again in the main breakaway of the day.
Well, they had 3 in the first incarnation. They had 2, pardon me, in the first incarnation of the breakaway, with winner Anacona and Daniele Benati. Benati was called back when the advantage was going down, but just as we've been coming to where we've had those attacks again. Pink jersey, everybody, the main favourites watching each other, because they've got a lot to do today, Brian. 3 mighty mountains. We go to the Cima Coppi, which is the highest point of the Giro d'Italia. At the minute, this is Chad Hager at the front, Simon Geschke, and we're looking at the Maglia Rosa group. So Chad Hager and Simon Geschke. It's a big test, not just for the leaders, but for the teams as well today, isn't it? Yeah,
I was really fearful that Tom Dumoulin would be really isolated. Chad Hager was in the original breakaway, but he's now back at the front of the peloton, and it's not easy. Geschke was in his own. If you can cast your mind back to stage 11, I think it was, the first climb of the day, he only had Geschke with him in that front group, and luckily enough 10 Dam was in the breakaway. I can't see 10 Dam at the moment, but this is going to be a brutal day, and I think Tom Dumoulin, he's just moving up now, he's going to need some alliances.
Who's going to work with him? At the minute, everybody will be trying to work against him. It's in everybody's interest for him to crack, certainly as far as the GC favourites are concerned. Climbing the southern side of the Passo del Mortirolo, just like in 1990. It has a 16% maximum gradient and a technical descent down into the Adda Valley after this. We're not descending to the town of Mazzo in Vantellina, which is the really difficult side. That's the crazy technical side. We're descending to Grosio. So once we get over here, Brian, the first 3 kilometres will be the exact same part of the Mortirolo we normally see, the classic side, the difficult side. But I'm not going to say it's not difficult. It's less difficult than the crazy side. After 3 kilometres, a fork in the road, and they go down to the town of Grosio before making their way up the valley, the Adda Valley, to the start of the Passo dello Stelvio. We'll come very close to the finish line. We'll come to Bormio and do a 100-kilometre loop with 2 huge climbs in it. Now, Luis Leon Sanchez at the front behind us. Omar Fraile is in conversation with his mates there. Omar Fraile in the blue jersey. He's actually not in control of the blue jersey by rights. That belongs to Tom Dumoulin at the minute. But Omar Fraile trying to be the King of the Mountains. And today is the day for the King of the Mountains jersey, isn't it? You're not going to win it today, but you're going to give yourself the best chance if you get some big points.
Yeah, no real surprise that Omar Fraile's in the breakaway. He had to. It was, you know, had him written all over it, this stage, to get in the breakaway. He's got Nathaniel Bahani there just sitting behind him to be able to help him. But 1 minute and 18, this is going up. I know they have to ride a tempo, and they have to try and control things. There's no point Sunweb killing themselves, and Haga and Geschke are absolutely empty by the top of the Mortirolo. They have to control things, so I think it'll be just a case of go over this climb Mortirolo with as many teammates as possible for the pink jersey. 20 kilometres from the bottom of the Mortirolo climb to Bormio and the start of Stelvio. But I tell you what, Rob, Lewis Lee and Sanchez is doing a huge ride already in this group. But just moving up, you've got we can look here. Diego Rosa's in there, Landis towards the back. I think it's Amador's in there for Movistar.
There he is on the left-hand side.
Delapart is also there. Anacona is definitely there. But these are alarming times for Sunweb, because you don't. If I was Sunweb, I didn't really want to see any Delapart or Anacona.
Steven Kruijswijk's in this group as well. And Steven Kruijswijk came into the Giro d'Italia with broken rib. A broken rib sustained at the Tour of Yorkshire in what he described as a proper crash. He kept it quiet, he disguised it, but now we understand why he might have been suffering a little more, allied as well to the fact that he crashed on the way to Mount Etna. But he's in this group, he's up the road, 1 minute and 23. Kruiswijk, by the way, before today, well, he started the day. Where was he? Let's have a quick look down. Steven Kruiswijk, Lotte NL Jumbo, 7 minutes and 3 back in 10th place. Amador on the left-hand side with the green M on his jersey. He started the day in 9th place at 6 minutes and 1. So Nairo Quintana's already put a few very good tactical cards in here.
Definitely. This is what they wanted, and I think it's playing out well for them. When the original breakaway went away and they had Benatti and Winner ran a corner, there was 2 riders, Bauhaus and Haga, in that breakaway, and it was 2 from each of the kind of top teams battling out again, you know, with the Dumoulin and Quintana. But now we're you know, whittling down. We've had a new group at the head of affairs, and to have 3 strong riders from Movistar, this is a dream start for them and Mortirolo. And the fact that Haga, Getchka, Dumoulin at front, I've not seen Ten Dam yet. I thought Ten Dam would play a big part today, but obviously, it's, you know, after the rest day, it affects the people in different ways. But the way it's playing out now, Movistar are looking good.
Well, there is a Sunweb rider up here on the left-hand side. You'd imagine it would be, wouldn't you? I know he was in the first incarnation of the break. Now we're heading up to the top of the Passo del Mortirolo, Cima Coppi. He was set to ride his 12th Giro d'Italia this year before he was tragically killed. And of course today is a hugely sad day. We lost Nicky Hayden the last few days as well. And with those awful attacks in Manchester overnight, there's a minute's remembrance at the start of the day. And also a day's remembrance for Michele Scarponi here. He has friends in this part of the world. Ciao Michele, we've seen all over the roads throughout Italy. They really have done the memory of the rider from the Marche proud. His team's produced special bidons today. Astana have made bottles with the image of Frankie the Macaw. They're using them on the bikes. Team are giving them a lot along the side of the roads. They're putting on a great show of remembrance for Michele Scarponi. And Luis Leon Sanchez here, of course, he's earned the King of the Mountains jersey and stage wins at this Giro, but to win the Cima Coppi is one thing that Astana, I think, will be setting out to do.
Yeah, but he's got a man sat behind him who's more explosive than him, so it's going to be very difficult. Omar Freire is chasing 8 points, and obviously he'd like to win at top of this climb, but I think Luis Leon Sanchez is trying to pave the way for a potential win of today's stage, but I think it's going to be really difficult because the GC riders are going to have their say, and Quintana really wants to try and win this. So
Izaguirre is in the break for Movistar with Amador and Herrada. Now that is a mighty collection of climbers up the road already. In the meantime, Laurens ten Dam is here, as is Vasil Kirienka, Seba Senau and Mikel Landa. So Sky in conversation at the front. Of course, you can see Fraile and Landa already allies on one stage earlier on in this Giro d'Italia. Landa having a word with Fraile there as well. Both Basque riders, remember, both good friends from back home. BMC rider there as well. I can tell you that's bad news for BMC with Ben Hermons, their best placed rider in the general classification, climbing off today. Ben Hermons did not finish, as did Kenny Elisond for Sky. So 4 non-starters in Bonnet, Gibbons, Edmondson and Albanese. 2 non-finishers so far in Elisond and Hermons. One kilometre to go to the top of the Passo del Mortirolo. Categorised climb, first used in 1990. And this is the climb that they climbed on that day. This side, the southern side, the slightly easier side, but it's still a ridiculously difficult climb. You can see the team cars up there, bikes, caravans, they've been parked out for days. Marco Pantani somewhere. Pirate forever. Eases out a little to the top now. And then we've got the descent, and this is just the first of the big obstacles, and another of the big obstacles is going to be the altitude that we're going to talk about a little later on. I'll tell you my own strange experience with altitude yesterday. You can all have a good laugh at me. So 137 kilometres still to go. Luis Leon Sanchez in the turquoise jersey there, looking to try and take the Cima Coppi. Double King of the Mountains points, but he wants to honour the memory of his fallen teammate. Pello Bilbao, another Astana rider, is also in this group, but he's towards the back now. Omar Fraile hoping to go back into the proper lead of the King of the Mountains jersey. Second wheel in the dark blue jersey. Sanchez is giving his all. Fraile is waiting for the moment. Second wheel there with the jersey open. In the meantime, a few hundred metres further back down the mountain, 1 minute and 45. Tom Dumoulin, bothered for the first time by a supporter. Came in today, though, saying he was calm. Nobody scares me, was the message on the front of the newspaper. Well, a few of the motorbikes a little too close there to Luis Leon Sanchez. He comes over, though, and takes the points. And that was very nicely done by Omar Fraile. Yeah, very nicely done.
Yeah, I think that's why Landa came up here. Landa came up and to pay tribute and had a quick word with Omar Fraile. Omar Fraile had every right to go for that. But yeah, nice sportsmanship from Team Sky and Dimension Data, giving that to Luis Leon Sanchez.
So the Passo del Mortirolo, the Cima Scarponi, is taken by his teammates. And the memory of Michele Scarponi, one of the most popular riders in recent history, has been honoured. Ciao Michele then. And now the rest of the racing continues. 1 minute and 50 here, the gap. Now on this descent that's coming up, we've had a lot of people dropped already. Remember, it's going to be a long, long day for those in the gruppetto today, just trying to make the time limit with what is happening. We've had a very frantic start. I can guess that not everybody's going to get in the time limit today. It's going to be one of those days. Back in the peloton for the descents on these narrow roads, the groups are going to be smaller at least.
Yeah, it's a difficult day. You know, we're just looking at this again, and
Ciao Michele at the top, and a lovely, lovely touch by Omar Fraile, Mikel Landa and the rest. Mikel Landa, let's not forget, also a former teammate of Michele Scarponi.
Yeah.
So this is how we stand. Tom Dumoulin, the pink jersey, third wheel there with 2 men in front of him, 1 behind him, and a teammate up in the break. He came into today with a 2 minutes and 41 second lead. Lost 6 bonus seconds to Nairo Quintana the other day, but also showed a beautiful gesture of sportsmanship, saying he didn't want to take time from a crash. Instead, wanted to win time and keep time on the road. He also said that Nairo Quintana had every right to sprint for the end there and didn't have any recriminations with that 6 bonus seconds given out to Quintana, who finished second in the stage the other day, won by Bob Youngles. By the way, Brian, Sunday's stage was the 11th fastest stage in the history of the Giro d'Italia. That's how good it was to Bergamo. 46.486 kilometres per hour. That was the record set in 2012, Andrea Guardini winning, 3 kilometres per hour faster at 49.429. A big day on Sunday, a big day in prospect today. We're over the Mortirolo, the breaks away, don't go away. Everyone, welcome back, and we're on the descent from the Mortirolo. First 3 kilometres of this descent, the same as the extremely difficult side to climb up it, but then there's a fork in the road and there's a turn. Both of these descents are difficult here, but instead of descending to Matun Valtellina, which is the hardest and most difficult side of going up and down, we descend to Grosio. Still technical, still tough, and still riders have to be careful. There's a lot to come in today's stage. It's the Queen stage of the Giro d'Italia. And if you're just joining us, we have 132 kilometres still remaining. The story of the day so far is a chaotic one, as we'd expect on a day such as today. 174 riders to the start, 4 non-starters with Edmondson, Gibbons, Bonnet and Albanese deciding they had to pull out. Most of them citing tiredness. In fact, Bonnet having knee problems, Edmondson still suffering from the crash he had on Sunday. So far, non-finishers, Kenny Elisond of Sky and Ben Hermons, who was at 10 minutes and in 15th place on the overall. He's from BMC Racing. We had 27 riders getting an early break, relatively early, because it took 63 kilometres to go. We had 50.3 kilometres ridden in the first hour. Only 1 minute for that break, though, before it was caught on the first slopes of the Mortirolo. We now have a group of around 20 riders up the front. 3 of them are from Movistar. Amador is there, Izaguirre is there, Herrera is there as well. And one rider from Team Sunweb, Laurens ten Dam, behind in the peloton at a gap of 1 minute and 43. Tom Dumoulin has Simon Geschke still with him, Chad Hager still with him, and Georg Preidler. Brian Smith is with me in the commentary box. And Brian, how do you assess what's gone on so far today?
Well, when the first breakaway went away, I thought, yeah, it looked okay with Sunweb having a couple of riders there, and Movistar having Benatti and Winner Anacona. But now, with the further developments, having 3 riders against Sunweb having only 1 rider, okay, it's 10 Dam. It seems to be playing out the way it did in stage 11. But this is a much harder task altogether for Sunweb. And okay, Chad Hager and Simon Geschke are with the pink jersey. They have to come off this climb inside 2 minutes and try and keep the gap down in the 20 kilometres from the foot of the Mortirolo to the start of the Stelvio. But after that, I think Movistar might decide to put in a plan to really...
Met Quintana echt op de Stelvio al. In de laatste beklimming heeft het niet veel zin, want dan is Quintana natuurlijk veel betere klimmer dan die 3. En dan heb je daar niks aan. Je zult het vooral op de Stelvio moeten doen.
Ja, die andere...
And maybe some of the other riders, maybe Zakarin as well. He's going to need allies.
Well, Movistar were talking about Zakarin. He's one man that they have certainly got in mind as we descend. As you just saw from that graphic, actually, the fork in the road that I was talking about, the 2 different descents to take on here. Now, the Mortirolo is it's got a murderous name in itself. Its name means death. It is a very, very difficult climb. Named back when Charles, in the 6th century, I think it was, Charles the Great's army, in fact the 8th century, in 773, decided he didn't like all the pagans in the region, and this is where a horrible event took part. Since 1990, it's become famous for its cycling, and it is one of the toughest climbs in the region. I've heard it nicknamed the Alpe d'Huez of the region because of all the hairpins. Have you ever climbed it?
I've climbed the descent side. Obviously,
the difficult side.
Yeah, after the Stelvio, that of course. And for me, this descent coming up the other way is probably, I think it is the hardest climb I've ever climbed.
Would you put it up there with Angry-Lou or maybe even a Mont-Zoncolan, something like that?
Yeah, we were talking about it, myself and Sean were talking about it. I've never did Angry-Lou or Zoncolan, but I can only go with what I've ridden, and I've ridden many climbs in my cycling career when I was a pro, and you know, outside of that, when I was just trying to do it for fun, if I can say fun. But Mortirolo for me has memories of being the hardest climb in my cycling career. Is the hardest climb I've ever come up.
Well, we went over the Passo della Foppa side today, descending now into the Valtellina. Valtellina, actually part of Lombardy, Sondrio province, for those of you into your geography. And today we'll also climb into Swiss territory too, across the border. So 14 kilometres on the descent here, 8.3% negative gradient. You can see lots of riders giving themselves plenty of space. 1 minute and 43 is the gap, and well, depending on what happens behind, it's a gap that can be closed, but we've got some really strong riders up front as well. We've got the Stelvio to come, and the Umbrail Pass as well. Another side of the Stelvio climb from Switzerland. We're off for a quick break while everyone's on the descent. Don't go away. Big entertainment day at the Giro. Descending the Mortirolo. We're with the Maglia Rosa group at the moment. Georg Preidler still helping out. Big day for Team Sunweb today. Big 6 days, in fact. Tom Dumoulin leads the Giro d'Italia by 2 minutes and 41 seconds. Can he hold on to his lead? And if you think about what's to come in the time trial on Sunday, you could say that he's got a virtual lead of about 4 minutes right now. You expect him to take 1.5 minutes. Now, what happened here? Whoops. Jumping on the way down. very, very big negative gradients, and the road surface isn't fantastic, as Chad Hager is descending as well. Chad Hager has done altitude camp after altitude camp this year in Teide. He really has prepared hard. Back with the front of the race. The front of the race has a group of around 20 to 25 riders in it. But there's some big names in there. Luis Leon Sanchez took the Cima Scarponi. 70 points for the King of the Mountains. Omar Fraile coming second, taking 36. That means that Omar Fraile is well in the hunt for those King of the Mountains points and the jersey. He's wearing the blue jersey today, but the jersey belongs to Tom Dumoulin. And we're getting towards the bottom of the Mortirolo, the town of Grosio. And from here we'll head up the Val Tellina. In the province of Sondrio, by the way, now. Heading up to Capitania from here. And the entrance to the Val Tellina, which has its hearty mountain specialities. Some people are eating them at dinner tonight. Last night, pardon me, in Bormio. It's where we stayed yesterday and on the rest day. No pizzoccheri or buckwheat pasta and butter and hearty stuff for these guys in the bidons, though. Brian, with what's to come, eating and drinking is more important than never, isn't it, today?
Yeah, the problem you've got in a descent like that, like this, the Mortirolo, from top to bottom, you don't get an opportunity to have anything.
Concentration
yeah,
so much, isn't it?
It's a difficult steep descent, and there's bumps and things like that, so you don't eat, and so it's choosing the right times to eat, and everybody's coming off that descent and trying to eat because they've got two huge climbs coming up, so it's choosing the moments, but sometimes you really have to try, and especially the longer descents, of telling and reminding the riders you have to eat, because all of a sudden you've descended for half an hour, 45 minutes, and if you're not eating and then you start climbing again, and it's difficult to eat. So yeah, you have to keep reminding them, eat, drink the whole time.
122 kilometres still remain. That means we've done 100 k's of today's stage. About 2.5 hours in, it's been absolutely non-stop. Nairo Quintana promised us he'd be at 100% today. He said it's a shame it's not an uphill finish. Do you think he would be able to take, if he is, let's hypothesise and say, maybe he's going to win the stage?
Maybe he's lost a little bit of confidence from his crash the other day in the descent. We do have 19.5 kilometres of descending on the final climb, so maybe he's alluding to that Tom Dumoulin could possibly take back maybe 30 seconds on him. That's if Quintana's in front of him, of course.
A long way to go until then. Nairo Quintana is in this group with Tom Dumoulin, as is Domenico Pozzovivo, looking pretty isolated already. Vincenzo Nibali is there as well. And it will be to the domestiques to make sure they get a little bit of food here, get back and sort everything out, but they can't be too far away in case of mechanicals. Racing is really on here.
They're doing a good enough job here. They're limiting to 1 minute, or just under 1 minute 40. Simon Getchka, all he has to do now is ride with Chad Hager, but don't kill it too much. If they hit the bottom of the first ascent of the Stelvio with 2 minutes, because there's 20 kilometres from here to the start of the Stelvio, and Stelvio is a long climb. You rode it, or some of it yesterday.
Some of it.
And you can't. He's only got, the teammates with him at the moment, and he has to just remain patient. Tom Dumoulin, he has got 10 down in front, but look at the size of the peloton already. This is the peloton. You've got a group of about 20, maybe just slightly more in front. Movistar are actively driving this race, but luckily the wind isn't blowing down the valley, because if it was, this is a very hard road, because it just goes up and up and up all the way to Bormio.
We're in Grosio, looking all the way down the Val Tellina. Valley that stretches length of Lombardy, really. It's absolutely stunning part of the world. It took us 3.5 hours to drive over on Sunday evening from Bergamo. Over passes, up valleys, past lakes. Vineyards up here, ski slopes. A mixture of everything that is beautiful in the north of Italy. Now then, Philip Dijkman, Rui Costa, couple of riders from CCC Sprandi Polkowice. Sebastian now, this is the breakaway. Don't get alarmed about the times flashing up on your screen there for the Maglia Rosa. We're not talking 2 hours, 3 minutes behind. There's clearly some sort of error with the GPS at the minute. I'll tell you that we've been racing for 2 hours, 32 minutes and 5 seconds. There's danger in this breakaway for the Maglia Rosa. Winner Anacona. Into Sondalo. And this is the Maglia Rosa group. Interesting to see what happens with the times now. If riders are going up the road, how can Sunweb control this? Peloton getting smaller and smaller and smaller. There is Tom Dumoulin on the right-hand side, just stopping for a nature break. Same time as Nairo Quintana. Obviously agreed, Brian.
Yeah, definitely agreed. They're taking the opportunity. They've also got, by the looks of it, is it Tom Stamsnyder back towards the front. So it's just a regrouping. It's just a carbon copy of what they did on stage 11. They had the opportunity for some riders to come back to help out. This is an important time for the Sunweb riders to help their leader out, but still a long way to go. 121 kilometres, still a couple of brutes of a climb.
Nog iets minder dan 120 kilometer. De mannen van Movistar die maken toch serieus tempo. Amador, Izagirre en Anacona met z'n drieën. De 3 beste klimmers binnen de...
Vasil Kirienka has regained contact after being dropped on the Mortirolo. Breakaway that's about 25 men strong. Interesting too that Cannondale have Joe Dombrowski there. Trying for a Giro stage win throughout last year's race, didn't quite manage it. But we'll keep trying. Man on your screen in the orange is Felix Schatner, very interesting young rider. Comes from Austria. Pello Bilbao has got back in onto the group as well. A few riders dropped on the Mortirolo trying to make their way back in. One man dropped out of the race. Third non-finisher of the day is Sean Deby of Lotto Soudal. So Lotto Soudal are now down to 6 riders. André Greipel and Bart de Klerk had already abandoned. Sean Deby joins them. And we're getting towards that stage, the Giro d'Italia, Brian, where it is about the last men standing.
Yeah, especially today after the rest day, they put a lot in, and losing André Greipel, it was down to what they could get it out themselves, and I don't think Sean Deby and many other riders that are abandoning now, the days of helping out have gone, and what they're going to get out of these stages if you're not a climber.
Georg Preidler riding at the front for Team Sunweb, top climber from Austria, but with a huge, tall physique. Behind him, Simon Gesken, Chad Hager, and also the Maglia Rosa. Now, those teams involved in the breakaway are only just getting their cars up. So it's been a long time to wait for food and bidons and everything for everybody up in the breakaway. Even instructions as well, and it just shows a real illustration, Brian, of how difficult it is to manage race traffic on all these narrow roads and climbs. And think about it, the guys up the road in the breakaway, they would have seen their team cars for about an hour and a half.
That's a difficulty you've got. The team car's just coming forward now. Just imagine what it's like over the Stelvio if there's any problems in the descent. For the likes of Dumoulin, then he's going to have to take neutral service. So that's why it's important to have a teammate roundabout. But we're talking about allies, and we're starting to see it play out now because Trek Segafredo have come to the front to help out the chase.
Trek Segafredo helping out the chase, and listening to Bauke Mollema today, I know that he was very much looking forward to this stage. He said he liked the long climbs, he liked the Stelvio. He hasn't been in superb form so far, Bauke Mollema, but he sits pretty handily placed in 6th at 4 minutes and 32 seconds. And today's a day, Brian, where if you have a good day, you can gain minutes. If you have a bad day, you can lose a lot of minutes.
Of course you can, and we've seen the other day, stage 11, when Frontside de Jeu and Trek Segafredo came up very early. I think it was very early in the day to start helping out the pink jersey, and I would have sat back. If I was Trek Segafredo, I would have sat back and allowed Tom Dumoulin and his team to try and control things, because there's no real danger at the moment. It's still within 2 minutes. Just when you think of Trek Segafredo, and I think Mollem has done this a few times in recent Grand Tours, that he's trying to hold on to his position in the general classification. And you can't help, some teams do this, some teams don't, and I think they could have sat back and maybe waited later in the day for doing what they're doing now.
Thank you very much to Sylvie de la Tour for your tweets asking about the health of Tanel Kangat. Now, if you remember the Sunday stage, we had that awful crash where Kangat was, well, very severely injured up against a bit of road furniture that wasn't properly signalled. And I'm afraid that Tanel Kangat's going to be out of action for 6 months after his crash. He approached Bergamo on Sunday, was into the final 10 kilometres. He's had to have a shoulder operation in addition to the broken elbow that we heard about straight afterwards. So all the best to Tanel Kangat of Astana. Unlikely to see him back on the bike for the next 6 months or so. Another shame for the Giro d'Italia. Another of the top contenders taken out, because he was having a very good Giro. Nairo Quintana on your screen. About 10th wheel down. Pink jersey's not far away as well. This group is swelling again. Pink jersey just at the back of the group, just making his way back after a natural break. 1 minute and 54 is the gap, and his Sunweb team is doing its best to reduce this below 2 minutes. And of course, with the likes of Andrea Amador in the break, Steven Kruiswijk up there as well. Amador at 6 minutes 01. Kruiswijk himself at 7 minutes 03. They can't let it get out of hand, can they? It has to be controlled all the time.
No, they are controlling it. We've got 3 riders in between, Switsov, Jarigi and Vandenbroek trying to make it across. And
they're at 32 seconds, as you can see.
Yeah, so it's going to swell the numbers in front. But Sunweb so far looking a bit thin, but it looks as if it's going okay for them. It's not out of control, but the big problem is we've got 4 Sky riders in the front, 3 from Dimension Data. Obviously, they're thinking more of the stage. But more importantly, as you've already mentioned, 3 strong riders from Movistar.
On our way up the valley, Stelvio, not too far away. And all it brings with its 20+ kilometres and 40 hairpin bends. 114 kilometres to go. Trek Segafredo have lent a hand to Team Sunweb. They're trying to chase things down and keep this gap under control. There are a few dangerous men away in the break of the day. 1 minute and 50 seconds is the gap as they head up the Valtellina at the moment to the foot of the mighty Stelvio. One of the world's great mountain passes. Alafacci doing a little bit of the work. In the meantime, Sky have 4 riders in here looking for a breakaway win, looking for a stage win. Cannondale very much with the same idea. Astana as well. Dimension Data with Igor Anton on a day where he really should like the topography. Vasil Kirienko putting out a mighty effort there, and some of the live data and numbers coming up on screen. Most riders peaking with their power at around 500 watts even at the peak points when they're doing their efforts. Some power from the early point of the stage. We've told you that Steven Kruiswijk's got into the breakaway here. Attacking to get into the breakaway, Brian, listen to this. 6 minutes and 45 seconds of an effort at 21.8 kilometres per hour. Peak power at 433 watts for 60 seconds. Average power for that almost 7-minute effort, 386 watts. And that is only to get in the breakaway. We're not talking stage wins or pushing on up the Stelvio yet.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are getting an opportunity to see how almost all the stage is played out. To get in the breakaway, it's hard. You have to make explosive efforts. You have to make time trial efforts just to get in that breakaway. It's never easy. it kind of settles down a little bit as it is now, and then you've got to make the efforts all over again in these climbs, especially towards the finish. So it's yeah, you can say being a professional bike rider, it's not easy, but it's about measuring your efforts. And if you mistime it, if you get in the wrong break and that's brought back and another break goes, that's the end of your day pretty much.
Fernando Gaviria still bosses the points classification, 325 points, plays 192 from Jasper Stuyven. Sam Bennett's in third place at 117. Pustelberger first, Maglia Rosa in fourth. A quick look at the climbers classification after that Cima Scarponi. Luis Leon Sanchez leads by 3 points from a generous Omar Fraile, who put in a lovely gesture at the top there to honour Astana and Michele Scarponi. The fight will resume, though, for those 40 points up the Cima Coppi, the highest point of this Giro d'Italia, as the Giro touches the sky at the top of the Stelvio. In terms of the best young rider, Bob Jungels is still in the white jersey. 2 minutes and 25 from Adam Yates. Davide Formolo sits in third place. Expect those gaps, if not the places, definitely to change today. Vasil Kirienka already been dropped once. Brian, his job in this breakaway looks to be that of motor.
Yeah, he's when you consider the riders that you've got here, you've got Henao, Philip Dignan, Landa, Kirienka's been used up here. It's plain and simple. He's the motor at the front of the breakaway. He wants to keep the tempo up. I think Sky will probably go with Landa, because Landa's probably the favourite, or one of the favourites for today's stage today. Quintana being another favourite, so they'll ride for him and see what happens. He has a domestique on the false flat in the valley here in the shape of Kirienka. Then he has 2 domestiques for the Stelvio. Yeah, very much looks like that. But I still think that there's still a lot to happen behind. You've got to remember that Quintana, whether he does it on the first ascent of the Stelvio or the Cima Coppi, or he waits to the final climb, but he's got 3 strong riders in front. He's got riders behind to help him. The key to this stage will be when Quintana decides to go on the attack, and he could possibly do it with the 3 riders in front. He could actually do it this ascent, isolate Tom Dumoulin and do it early.
It is when, not if, as well, isn't it?
Yeah, he's definitely going to go for it. Everybody knows that, but it's when. And looking at the tactics that are playing at the moment with 3 strong riders in front, I think Quintana could be looking at maybe trying to bridge on the next ascent of the Stelvio.
Well, he's got 22 whole kilometres to do that, and rather embarrassingly, I tried to climb the Stelvio yesterday and didn't quite make it to the 22 kilometres.
You're being hard on yourself. You have been doing full. The thing is, you're doing a full job here. It's mentally exhausting to talk all day, and the travel and things like that. I would say it's not the best preparation that you had.
No, you're making me sound better than I actually am, Brian. It's very nice of you, but I had an absolute Western supermare on the bike yesterday. I was feeling dizzy and sick, whereas our producer Doug was absolutely storming up there. Actually, I'm going to check what he had for his breakfast, because he was absolutely brilliant up there. And Jonathan Edwards on our presenter as well. He used Juan Antonio Fletcher's bike with his more difficult gear ratios and also steamed at the top. But just to tell you that if you go into crisis, on a more serious note, if you go into crisis on this mountain, you really are in crisis, and you do not recover from it.
Yeah, you won't. You will lose seconds, but to be fair to you, you were on a heavier bike. I think someone tampered with your brakes. Your brakes might have been rubbing and things like that, because you got to remember that with myself and Sean's coaching, okay, it never worked yesterday, but your day will come, and you have to believe that.
Thanks, coach. I got on the home trainer for the next ascent. In the meantime, nothing about this resembles training for Vasil Kirienka. He's an absolute machine on the bike. And, well, remember 6 years ago today, Xavi Tondo very sadly passed away whilst we were at the Giro d'Italia. The day after, Vasil Kirienka, then riding for Movistar, got himself in a break on a similarly difficult stage. The stage to Sestria, pardon me, up in the mountains, site of the Winter Olympic Games. And he won a quite monumental stage all on his own, to dedicate to the memory of Xavi Tondo. So also while we're on that subject, of course, we dedicate a moment of our thought to the family of Xavi Tondo and everybody at Movistar. 6 years ago today since he sadly passed away. That's where we're headed, and this is the weather forecast. The top of the Passo Stelvio, just 5 degrees. A bit of a wind up there as well, but beautiful sunny weather. We'll see the sky at the very top. One minute and 56 as Steven Kruiswijk attempts to push on. That's where we're headed today. As if the Mortirolo and the Stelvio weren't hard enough on their own, the organisers have been cruel to the riders today, but extremely kind to us fans. Legendary stretches of road, and they are both tackled on the same stage. This started exactly how we wanted, hasn't it, Brian? All of this sort of anticipation and build-up, and it's already gone off. The fireworks are happening. This is it.
It's already going well for 3 teams hunting the stage win, and also for Movistar interested in the bridge for Quintana. When you consider in this front group you have got 3 riders from Dimension Data. You have got 3 riders from Cannondale. Cannondale haven't had the best Giro d'Italia, but they're in it with strong riders capable of winning the stage. And then you've got the 4 riders from Team Sky, Landa being one of the favourites for today. And for the bridge for Quintana, the 3 perfect riders. 3 perfect riders you could have for the bridge for Quintana, and it's down to Sunweb to control. Mentioned it a little bit earlier. Really surprised that Trek Segafredo have come to the front so early in this stage to try and help. They did it in stage 11, which was a surprise to me, but they did it with the Français de Jeu. But Pino is playing the right game here. He's not going to help the leaders team here.
Is there a suggestion that there might be a bit of a Dutch alliance going on? Dutch teams working together? Or Dutch riders working together?
You can remember Blockhouse when Dumoulin came back and was saying to Mollema, come on, ride. Yeah. And Mollema was like just kind of trying to hang on and kind of limit his losses in the Blockhouse stage. Well, that didn't seem to me to be a bit of a combine, but Tom Dumoulin is such a nice guy. He looks as if he's forgiven a lot of people. This motorbike really has to kind of get out the gap a little bit and give them a bit more room here, because they're aiding the chase. You can just see the Trek Segafredo rider sitting behind it. You don't really, as a team manager, I would be talking to the commissaire here. That motorbike needs to get out of the way.
And that's exactly what the Movistar riders behind are saying. Get that car out the way, get that motorbike out the way. Arms raised there from Rory Sutherland, who's saying, come on, guys, you're helping them. In the meantime, Movistar's plan is being executed well. They have Andre Amador up the road. You talked about the bridge, but in Amador now, for example, he will move to less than 4 minutes away from the lead of Tom Dumoulin in the Giro d'Italia, so he's heading up into the top 5 again, just as we saw on the hilly stage from Florence over into Bagno di Romagna. And this is the composition of the break. Izaguirre, De Plus, Berhane, Verona, Kruiswijk's up there, Dijknen there for Sky, one of 4 Sky riders. Their target is nothing more than a stage win. Of course, it will be a mighty stage to win.
I don't know if this is Movistar really thinking at this stage for Amador.
No, but it also sets the alarm bells ringing. It's sort of a double-edged sword, isn't it?
Of course, they can't let it out. The goal for Amador obviously was to be in the breakaway again. In stage 11 they kept the pressure on by Amador being there. He never had the best day, but he was still there and took some time back. I think it was a minute and 34 seconds. But this is all for Quintana today. 3 strong riders. Quintana to try and do the bridge. But remember, Rob, Quintana needs to get rid of the other contenders as well.
It's a fascinating day on so many levels. And remember, you can get in touch with us all day long at Rob Hatch TV, at Eurosport_UK, and please hashtag your tweets Giro100. Andre's done just that and asking, do we know how Adam Hansen is doing? Well, despite his fracture, he's riding on, he's soldiering on. certainly join everybody in hoping that he is able to make the finish today and continue that wonderful record of 17 consecutive Grand Tours. Hairline fracture of his wrist a couple of stages back. Who's suffering from rest day-itis? Because at this stage it really can be a lottery as to whether you get ill, as to how you feel, how the legs respond. It would have been a start of the stage that everyone would have been dreading today, wouldn't it? Mortirolo so early in the stage, 50, 60 kilometres in.
Yeah, especially after the stages before. They were interesting. Even the stage into Bergamo was an interesting finish. A hard day, a fast day.
11th fastest in the history of the Giro.
And then get into the rest day, and you really have to keep into a routine, keep on top of it. And then coming into this stage of this length, 222 kilometres with 3 major climbs, it's going to be difficult. And although the Mortirolo was a difficult climb, it went up to 1,854 metres, but the next 2 climbs, Cima Coppi, highest climb in this year's Giro d'Italia, 2,758. We dropped down and came back up 2,502 before the finish. The second ascent, it's the hardest part of the stage is still to come, and we're already a group of, a large group of breakaway, the peloton being controlled, and spare a thought for the gruppetto at the moment, who must be 15 minutes down the road already.
Big job for the most experienced rider, and the patron at the back trying to organise everybody and calculate the times and make sure that they are going to try and make the time today. I think there'll be a few turned camera lenses away and maybe the odd little bit of a lift up the final climb, you never know. 2 minutes and 17 seconds, the gap continues to grow as we approach the Stelvio. At the minute, it's simple maths, isn't it? More men are riding on the front of this breakaway than back in the peloton. First few Basque fans we've seen. Basque supporters with their Icorinha flags. Maglia Rosa, Tom Dumoulin. Checks his radio, makes sure everything's ready. Grabs his bit of food that he needs. His team's still riding on the front, trying to chase these men in the break. Over 20 riders are there. 4 from Team Sky looking for the stage win. That's why Vasil Kirienka, the Belarusian motor, is riding with his jersey unzipped at the front. Gorka Izagirre behind is riding for Movistar. They have Andrea Amador in this group. And of course, also winner Anacona and Jose Rada there as well. UAE Fly Emirates are there. Dimension Data looking for stage win, as are Canadel Drapac. Assortment of other riders down there as well. Remember, Luis Leon Sanchez won the Cima Scarponi. He was first over the Passo del Mortirolo today. Double King of the Mountain points for all, as we remembered the late Michele Scarponi on what is the Queen stage of the Giro d'Italia today, from Rovetta to Bormio. 222 kilometres in total. We're approaching the town of Bormio. 102 kilometres to go. Steven Kruijswijk also in the breakaway too. Remember, he's dangerous, very dangerous overall. If he starts to feel better, this is traditionally the part of the Giro d'Italia where he comes good in the 3rd week. Let's not forget either, one thing I wanted to ask you about here, Française des Jeux, Thibaut Pinot. Okay, he's had the odd off moment, hasn't he? But he lies 3rd, he's 3 minutes and 21 down. He has several members of his team around him. In fact, he's still got a team of 8, despite the abandonment of William Bonnet on the rest day. He's a guy who surely has got to come into his own today if he's in any sort of form.
He did have a bad day in Europa, but he measured his efforts. Always, I think, in a Grand Tour, you have, if you can have one bad day, then it's not bad. But he had his bad day. He was able to come back in the end, limit his losses. I really think that Thibaut Pinot will be able to go with Quintana when he initially goes. I think he'll be an ally with Quintana, and he's sitting back. He's not putting riders towards the front to help. He doesn't want to help Tom Dumoulin and his team of Sunweb. He wants to battle it out, and you can see it being played out in the road. Trek Segafredo have formed allies with Sunweb, but I think Thibaut Pinot could be forming an ally with the likes of Movistar and Quintana. because if they get away on the Stelvio, then they can help each other.
We're approaching the start of the Stelvio Pass, 40 hairpin bends, 21.7 kilometres, a real feat of engineering. Town of Bormio up here on the right-hand side. On the left, we take the start of a 100-kilometre loop today. Some are saying it's the Stelvio twice. Now, I've had the Stelvio police on the back. And apparently the Umbrail can't quite be considered the full Stelvio, as Quentin Jorregui is caught from the breakaway.
Yeah, Van der Broek and Switsov were already caught. He tried to make it, but it was just the wrong time, because obviously Movistar and Team Sky would put riders towards the front of the breakaway, so there's no chance of them getting across.
So, close to the first passage of the finish line. The next time they come through here, they'll be less numerous, and we will have big gaps made. Maybe even the Giro d'Italia could be on the way to being decided. That will be a big statement. That will be a huge crack for a lot of riders, but anything and everything is possible today. Little preview of the finish. Vasil Kirienka, I think, won't expect to be there when the finale is being played out. Will it be someone from this breakaway? Will it be the riders behind? I tell you what, they are gaining time really well. Kirienka, alongside other riders there from Movistar and the rest, have been doing a superb job here.
They have, and Kirienka had the help of Gorka Ezagiri to help him.
Just push on in the valley.
You got to remember, they came off the climb with just over a minute and a half advantage, but Sunweb have decided just to sit back. They've got help from Trek, so yeah, another interesting 100 kilometres coming up.
Well, nobody rings the bell. That would be rather insulting with the one lap to go that they have, because it's a mighty lap. It's the Stelvio and the Umbrailpass, which is about 3/4 of the Stelvio. Up from the Swiss side. Thankfully, no passports needed as we cross the border. Now, Sindres Kustad Lunke riding at the front, number 186, left-hand side. Just behind him, number 193, Julien Bernard, riding his first Grand Tour, and riding it very well for Trek Segafredo. 187 there is Georg Preidler. 184 on your screen, just opening the small can of pop, is Chad Hager. And in the pink jersey, he needs no introduction. 8 Grand Tours ridden now. The man who today said, "Nobody scares me," Tom Dumoulin. Simon Geschke behind, the bearded Simon Geschke, familiar figure. And Movistar around Nairo Quintana. He promised he was at 100%. Promised that he would give his all today. He said last time he was on the Stelvio, this mountain favoured him. Favoured him in quite controversial circumstances as well. We had the, was it neutralised, wasn't it neutralised? Chat about brutal, awful weather on the day.
I'm just having a look here. I really think that Movistar could be taking up the tempo on this climb and really isolating Tom Dumoulin. Okay, he's got 10 dam in front, but with 3 riders, we noticed just coming through the finishing line that Gorka Ezagiri kind of knocked it back and left it to Team Sky. So I really think Movistar are going to play their cards this time up the Stelvio.
Jose Luis Arrieta told us before the start of the stage today, the Movistar sports director, the man in charge in the car, the coach if you like, Brian, he said that they would learn from previous Stelvio episodes, and he wanted it to be another epic day like the ones we've seen in the past. 2 minutes and 55, it's going to be nigh on 3 minutes when they come through the finish, the gap. Will Sunweb be put immediately under pressure? Because as soon as we get out of town here, it's 3–4% for the first kilometre or so, and then the climb rises 7–8%. We get the 12% within the first half of the climb. That's the maximum gradient, but it is relentless.
Yeah, it's very difficult, and Sunweb have already been riding. They've been losing time. They've pretty much lost almost a minute and a half since the bottom of the Mortirolo. So okay, they're there in numbers to try and help out. They're trying to ride into this climb as much as possible, but they're losing time the whole way. I think Movistar really have to take this race on this ascent, really have to isolate Tom Dumoulin, and France de Jour sitting back as well. They could be helping out, so I think we're going to see some action on this climb for sure.
Bormio, the start of the Passo dello Stelvio. We climb over, descend into Prato. This is a beautiful little town in the foot of the Alps, and we're into the national park of the Stelvio. Over 20 kilometres of legendary road to come, then that difficult descent to Prato, and the altitude is going to play a part as well. We're already at 1,200 metres here. Today we go to the Cima Coppi, the highest point of the Giro d'Italia, at 2,700 metres. Oh, and it's going to be a long, long day if you are already in the gruppetto. There is Filippo Pozzato.
It's not bad. There'll be another group behind us, but he's ridden not too badly over the Mortirolo.
Three big names at the front there. I think they'll be punching the tickets for the bus later on, won't the Pozzato. And then Quinziato's on his last Giro d'Italia. With Pozzato, we don't know if it's going to be his last Giro as well. And Manuele Buaro behind him too. So some big names there ready to do the bossing about. Daniel Tekla-Heimanot was in this group too. Surprised maybe that we'd expect him to be up there a little further on. But of course he's been tired legs. He's had a really active Giro d'Italia so far, the Eritrean national champion. Gap already down to 2 minutes 36. I wonder if someone started riding further up the road. We'll get a check on that in a minute. There is Piazza Cavour. The Queen stage, on paper the hardest stage of this Giro d'Italia. 5,500 metres of climbing. Just being in Bormio the last couple of days, it's clear to see that they really have embraced the Giro like everywhere else. Everything's pink. A lot of shops and restaurants that normally would be dormant and quiet at this time of year have opened up. The barber's even opened up for you this morning, didn't it? You got a haircut.
Yeah, it was closed yesterday. We went for a run, myself and Sean, for an hour and a half, and then we had to walk around town finding a hairdresser that was open. There was three of them were closed, so we had to get up early this morning and get it in before the stage. And I must say I've done a very good job of Sean's hair.
Short back and sides.
That's all I can do these days.
Vasil Kirienka can do a lot more. He is still riding on the front here. 2 minutes and 34. As Brian was suggesting, Movistar had knocked it off in the breakaway. What is happening in the peloton, though? No change as of yet. Trek Segafredo still out there. Team Sunweb there as well. The Maglia Rosa, Tom Dumoulin. Chad Hager, the man on your screen. I've just been told from our spies out there on the course that there are quite a few groups behind Filippo Pozzato's group, so that wasn't the last group. And they're the riders you really feel sorry for, because they're not made for this terrain.
Yeah, I thought Filippo Pozzato was doing relatively well to stay within 5 minutes. I can only imagine with a fast start and with the Mortirolo there that there's riders that said between 10 and 15 back already. So it's a difficult day on this Queen stage. You know, everybody in cycling calls the hardest stage of a tour a Queen stage, because mountain and stage in the French language is feminine, and so that's why they call the hardest with the most climbs of a stage the Queen stage.
Tom Dumoulin approaching that Queen stage in pink and looking to stay there. 2 minutes and 41 his lead over this man, Nairo Quintana. When I mean this man, I mean the man second in your picture to the right now, behind the Spanish champion Jose Joaquim Rojas. It's Nairo Quintana, the winner of the 2014 Giro d'Italia. The winner the last time the race went up the Passo dello Stelvio. Vincenzo Nibali, winner of 2 Giri d'Italia, last year in 2016, king of 2013 as well. Do you know what? He's never ridden the Stelvio in the Giro.
That's a surprise. But he's done it in training, obviously.
Obviously, a lot of times. He knows the mountain very well. I was surprised to learn that as well this morning, and unless they made a monumental error, that's what the Gazzetta dello Sport said.
I was quite lucky listening to some of the riders this morning in the start line, and they knew they were off for a hard day, but to be able to race up the Stelvio, I was quite fortunate to race up the other side of the Stelvio, the longer side, and the side that we see most of the pictures of. I was able to ride that in the early 90s, and to be able to do that in your career, because as I said, it's not often you get to race. We're talking about Nibali, he's had a good career, and he's for the first time to be able to race up the Stelvio.
Here's evidence of the message that we were relayed to by our journalist friend and colleague Daniel Friebe a moment ago. More groups on the road. 8-9 minutes back already. Sebastião, part of this group, heading on the first few kilometres of the almost 22-kilometre long Passo dello Stelvio. Real feat of engineering. And it's been marked. 3 kilometres in, every kilometre marked along the way. Maglia Rosa group still has 19 kilometres to climb, Brian. It's a long, long, arduous task, this. The group is still fairly big.
Yeah, they've waited for a lot of riders. We never saw it coming off the descent of the Mortirolo, so it does look as if, because when we come off the Mortirolo, that Lunke wasn't, the young rider from Sunweb wasn't in the group, so there's obviously been a regroupment in the valley up to Bormio.
Rory Sutherland is still there, the brilliant Australian all-rounder for Movistar, who's really made his name as one of the top domestiques in the sport in the last 2 or 3 seasons. Rojas there as well. And it is De La Parte, the man just on the wheel of Nairo Quintana. Also Herrada in this group too. Ino Dakarin, right-hand side. Red jersey with a big white K on the back. But Astana still have 3 riders here. Française des Jeux, we were talking about them. 6 riders in this group, including Thibaut Pinot. They look strong, they look good. For Bahrain Merida, you can't really say the same. I count 4 there, including Nibali.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Talking of Bahrain Merida, haven't quite won yet. They're taking it with good humour, these people behind. Might not be the case if they are 40 tempo massimo at the end of the day. That's over 10 minutes back, isn't it?
You could say he was trying to do a peppermint, was he not?
Yep. A little longer than the 6 kilometres extra that we had in Messina this time, however.
At least Peppernick was in front.
There's Eros Capecchi. Yeah, right in the blue and white.
Sorry, just looking out the commentary box now. The last car is just passing the line now. So all the riders within 10 minutes of the leaders.
But still a huge quantity of that 5,500 of dislivello. Stelvio up to 2,700 meters, and the Umbrail Pass. That's once we've been into Switzerland. Kirienka. Brian, interesting you noticed that the slowing in the pace back in the group. That's been reflected in the advantage here.
Yeah, and
this is the first tunnel, by the way, approaching it just up the road.
Movistar will not let that happen because it's still in control. The danger man in this front group, obviously in the overall, is of course Amador, sitting at just over 6 minutes. So they're in control, but they want to make it hard. Movistar want to make it hard, and I think Française des Jeux want to make it hard. So there's 2 teams there. So they will allow the team of Sunweb and Trek Segafredo to set a tempo, but we've already seen in the Mortirolo it was difficult for the majority of them. Only Getchka was there. They still have 10 Dam in front, he can drop back if Tom Dumoulin gets isolated. So I think it's just a matter of time before Movistar and or From Cedric come to the front and start setting a tempo to split this group to pieces.
Never mind setting the tempo. I think I've just seen where we're going to stay next time we come to Bormio. Bagni Nuovi looked absolutely beautiful up there. Arrange it, make it happen, will you? You're the go-to man for these sorts of things. In the meantime, the go-to man for refreshment has arrived in the commentary box. Super Domestique Kelly. I've heard he's going to go and get the coffees in a minute as well.
He's looking good these days, isn't he?
He is. Well, he's had a haircut this morning. Did he put you on the rivet yesterday on the run again? Or?
Always in the rivet.
How long did you go for? Hour and a half, you said?
Hour and a half with about, just almost an hour of running. Never ran that since the New York Marathon in 2008.
You're in better shape then or now?
I don't know.
Well, as I said before, I'm in no position to take the poke fun at anybody's sake of shape. There's the Bagni Vecchi. Bagni Vecchi, Bagni Nuovi. I think Bagni Nuovi looked a nicer resort, didn't it? But these are just the start of the Stelvio climb. All the fireworks still to come, but it started exactly how we wanted to. Don't go away on the Giro d'Italia. A very warm welcome back. 94 kilometres still remain. 2 minutes and 37. That's the gap between front and second group. Front group is on your screen now, led by Vasil Kirienko with his jersey open. Behind him, Natnael Berhane. A group of around 20 riders. The King of the Mountains, the current King of the Mountains, is fourth wheel. He doesn't have the jersey on. That's Luis Leon Sanchez. In what was a very nice gesture from Omar Fraile and the rest of the peloton. He was allowed to take the Cima Coppi. Developments in the chase behind. The man you can see on your screen now is Georg Preidler. Very, very good climber at the Giro d'Italia over the last few years, an Austrian rider who, despite his big, thick frame, gets up mountains brilliantly. He's at the front because the man who was doing the work has tired and has been dropped. That was Sindris Gustad Lunke, riding his first Giro d'Italia. We're only on the early slopes, Brian Smith, and Team Sunweb are being put under pressure.
Yeah, they are, and we knew that anyway. They were under pressure right from the start, but they've handled it fairly well. Very fast starts indeed. The first hour run off at around about 50 kilometres an hour, so it's going to be a brutal stage for everybody. But they managed to get a couple of riders in the first break of the day. They were brought back then in the other group that's in front now went away. They've only got 10 down. Like stage 11, they had 10 down in the breakaway. They were limiting losses. They're doing a reasonably good job at the moment for a team learning how to lead a Grand Tour with their leader Tom Dumoulin. Tom Dumoulin, if we look at it, you look at the whole team of Sunweb, I think Movistar would probably only sign one of the riders, and that's the rider in our picture now, Tom Dumoulin. That's the difference between the two teams. We have got 3 Movistar riders in front and 5 in this group behind. The only person missing from Movistar is Benatti, and Benatti was in the first move. He's already done his job. So look, Kirienka is setting the tempo in the group in front, and they're happy for that to happen. Omar Fraile just thinking of gaining more points for that King of the Mountains competition. They're allowing Sunweb, and they have to just ride tempo in the front, but this climb gets harder and harder as we get further up, and at some point Movistar will have to take on the tempo and try and split the peloton up behind.
Yep, Amador in this group in front. Is Aguirre with him as well, as is winner Anacona, as is Steven Kruiswijk in the yellow towards the back of the shot there. That's Rui Costa, the former world champion. Pierre Rolland in the green. Carlos Verona there for Orica Scott, and he's a man up the road to help Adam Yates potentially if he's on a good day as well. So the famous hairpins, all 40 of them, of the Passo dello Stelvio. Stelvio that was taken on 11 times previously. The first time he went, Fausto Coppi, 1953. The last time to get over the top first, Dario Cataldo in 2014. That was the year that Movistar's Nairo Quintana last rode the Giro d'Italia. That was the year that he won it. Play 1-1-1 for Quintana so far at this race, as we see Konstantin Svitsov, the Belarusian champion, and ally of Vincenzo Nibali towards the back. 153 just behind him is José Gonçalves, the Portuguese rider. And number 19 just going off the back is Matteo Montaguti, the Italian. Rides for Agi Desert Mondial, led by Domenico Pozzovivo. 2 minutes and 30. Movistar second wheel waits, and the whole world watches and waits here, because José Luis Arrieta said at the start of the day, the Stelvio is a big day. It's always a difficult stage. We will try to not let it pass by. We will take advantage, as Konstantin Svitsov's clearly not on a great day.
Nope. I think he made a big effort in the valley to try and come across to that group, and he's paying for the efforts. And you mentioned it earlier on, it's about measuring your efforts. And I think if he hadn't tried to come across in that group of three, then he could have gone over the top of this climb. But that's what it's all about, measuring your effort. Unfortunately for the experienced Svitsov, not on a good day, and he's going to be dropped and lose a considerable amount of time. But more importantly, he will not be there to help his team leader Nibali.
Only 3 riders in front of Tom Dumoulin. Referring to Nibali, how do you see Nibali? We've talked a little about the other contenders, but Vincenzo Nibali has been riding a decent Giro d'Italia so far. He sits in 4th place. It's certainly not over for him, is it?
No, I think he'll be searching for a podium. I think it's a day of following. I thought he might have a look at maybe doing something in a descent. I think his descending may come into play in the final climb. If he can stay within sight of Quintana when he goes on the attack, then why not? He can descend and maybe come back to Quintana in the end. Potential stage win is up for grabs, but I think he is content and possibly looking, following, and trying for that podium position, and maybe trying for the stage win today.
2 minutes and 26 seconds. Sunweb closing the gap slowly but surely. François Bidard wearing number 13 at the back. Number 16 there is Ben Gastar from Luxembourg. Just ahead, the last rider for Dimension Data, Jacques Janssen van Rensburg. One by one, they will begin to tire. Fans of Jan Hurt on the side of the road there with a little banner for him. Yesterday, there were plenty of caravans there. There are already fans picking their spot. This is one of the natural stadia of world cycling. 92 kilometres still to go on Stelvio Day. We're only a quarter way up the first ascent. Problems for Edouard Ravasi. He's been out there in the breakaway. Really exciting rider, by the way. We're going to see much more of this man in the future. Superb last year at the Tour de l'Avenir. Edouard Ravasi dropped from the break, however. And this climb is beginning to take its toll. We're climbing to the 2nd highest paved pass in the European Alps. Only the Col de l'Iseron in France is 13 meters higher. This is just about as high as you can go on a road in Europe. Certainly this part of the continent anyway. 2,700 meters we climbed to today, and you can already see that on some of the more hidden hollows there's plenty of snow left. I can tell you there are banks of snow left at the top of the Stelvio. It will be gloriously sunny up there, but pretty cold when it goes in behind the clouds. And because it's gloriously sunny, not every car who wants to go up the Stelvio is allowed up the Stelvio today. There's a slight risk of avalanches. Of course, any sort of extra noise that can contribute to those is being taken out of the equation by the organisers. The tired-looking face of Vasil Kirienka. As Igor Anton in the black and white jersey, Mikel Landa just behind him. Remember, Sky have 4 in this breakaway. Landa has 2 domestics with him in Daignan and Sébastien. There's Manuel Senni Laurens ten Nam up the road, and while we're away in the break, bad news for Tom Dumoulin, Brian, because Georg Preidler was dropped.
Yeah, it's quite unfortunate. I thought he'd stay there a little bit longer, but looks like Tom Dumoulin's only got 2 riders to help him on this climb. Fortunately for Tom Dumoulin and Sunweb, they've got the help of one rider from Trek Segafredo. But I tell you what, looking at the pictures of Steven Kruijswijk, he looks very comfortable then. The same can't be said about Simon Geschke. I think Simon Geschke is starting to really struggle on this climb. Tom Dumoulin has moved back a little bit. I think he's sensing that Movistar are thinking about doing something soon.
The Passo dello Stelvio in all its glory. As we just said, the second highest automotive pass in Europe, rising to 2,770 metres. It was the Austro-Hungarian Empire Franz I who wanted it built. It was built in just 3 years, which is an astonishing feat of engineering, back as early as 1825 when it was open. The road was the link between Milan and Vienna, who were both parts of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Lombardy was a province then. Remember, Italy not united as a nation as we know it until long after that. The pass used to actually be able to cross throughout the year. It used to be a coach service, but after the First World War, both sides of the pass came under Italian jurisdiction. And ever since then, the pass has been closed in the winter. André Amador, top Giro d'Italia rider. We've talked about his palmarès much in the last couple of weeks, and of course throughout the last few years on the Giro d'Italia, but it's the high altitude and the high mountains that really do it for him. Interesting to see how he gets on. At the minute, he's up there, up the road, not having to do much work. Is he going to be much use to Nairo Quintana later? We'll have to see. Now then, pink jersey. Just takes a drink as Frances Desjeux start to move up. And this is interesting. Thibaut Pinot on the left-hand side. The first semblance of any change. So Thibaut Pinot in position. It's Sebastian Reichenbach who is with him. Dumoulin just drops back a few places. Had Chad Hager with him. Well, Simon Geschke works at the front with Trek Segafredo. And another man in trouble for Vincenzo Nibali. It's Giovanni Visconti. Things are starting to change now with every pedal stroke, Brian.
Yeah, very much looks like both groups are riding tempo, but when you look at the back of both groups, a lot of riders are starting to be shed out the rear, and it just goes to show you this, it's not easy. But Reichenbach moving Pinot up. Look, Frances Desjeux and Movistar are thinking about doing something soon. Geschke is starting to move back now. Tom Dumoulin is just surveying. He's expecting something from Quintana. He wants to sit behind him and see what's happening. So Sunweb starting to struggle a little bit. All over for Kirienka. He's done a very good job. He's driven it along the valley and driven it pretty much almost halfway up the climb.
So who's going to work at the front of this group now as Kirienka is left to suffer on his own and drift a long, long way back? You got Anton at the back here. Kirienka trying to hang on for the minute. Down in that little ring and spin away for the rest of the day. Great job. And goodbye to those he was with. The man chasing them down is Julien Bernard, following in the pedal strokes of his father, actually. His dad rode the Giro d'Italia, Jean-François Bernard. Rode the Giro in the 80s, even rode with multiple-time Giro winner Miguel Indurain, part of his career as well. I know you rode the Stelvio, didn't you, when you rode your Giro d'Italia, but I gather you rode it from the other side, from Prato.
Yeah, I came down this side, we rode up the other. Rode up the long side, started the day, nice temperatures, maybe not as warm as this, came up, big banks of snow at the sides, and descended this side. It became very cold through the tunnels, which were unlit, and that was an experience in itself, not just going up it, but coming down it. But I'm glad of the memories, and I'm glad I'm saying I was able to race up the Stelvio in my racing career.
Still Bernard, the man we were just talking about, jersey unzipped, having a real go. Team somewhere being helped out here by Trek Segafredo. You really do wonder why they're committing so many resources. The team behind Val Camonica. We're off for a break. A change at the front of the peloton. Tom Dumoulin has drifted halfway down the group that remains. He's lost another domestic. Simon Geschke is hanging on the back, and it's currently Trek Segafredo who are working. Bernard is done for the day. Bernard done for the day, as is Chad Hager for the moment. Dumoulin has slipped halfway down through this group. Is he bluffing? How's he feeling? That's the question. Up the front, Trek Segafredo take over with Jesus Hernandez. They have Peter Stettiner still there as well. And this is Natnael Berhane being dropped from the breakaway. And we're starting to see the Stelvio have its effect now. Just over halfway up, Brian.
Yeah, still a long way to go. A lot of riders starting to suffer in both the breakaway and the peloton. But I think the pink jersey is trying to kind of hide, if we can say, hide a little bit in this front group, so that maybe other teams will take it on. And Trek Segafredo are the ones that are taking it on. And all this time, that's Tom Dumoulin. It looks like Geschke at the back of the peloton starting to suffer a little bit. So are many others here, including the King of the Mountains jersey, Omar Fraley. We're starting to get into some of the switchbacks now, starting to thin out, but it looks as if Geschke's gone. So there's nobody there for Tom Dumoulin. He's got nobody apart from 10 Dam in front. Still, the wait continues to see when Movistar are going to take this on.
It's one of the immense sights in professional cycling. Absolutely stunning up there as we see Simon Geschke dropped off the back. Oh, Dumoulin isolated already. He's only got Laurens Tendam left up the road. Goodbye, Simon Geschke, and that's Jack Janssen van Rensburg with him. In the meantime, take that in. Beautiful. Manuel Senni, the latest to go from the breakaway, in front of him as well. Problems for quick step floors and Laurens de Plus. So there's obviously been an increase in tempo at the front of the race.
Yeah, both they're trying to hold each other off, keep it within about a couple of minutes. But yeah, what magnificent sights we're seeing on this climb here up the Stelvio, and you know, goes up this part of the climb like a serpent, and obviously biting a lot of them.
Talking of biting, we're waiting for Vincenzo Nibali and his team. How sharp is the shark bite going to be today, if there is one? Thibaut Pinot did have a massive Française des Jeux riders around him. He had Sebastian Reichenbach setting the pace, but he's since disappeared. For Nibali, I can see that Franco Pellizotti's still there. Malcolm Mollema just moving up on the right-hand side. Nairo Quintana suddenly a little more isolated as well. That's the breakaway. Down to less than 10 riders now. Amador is still there. Anacona is still there. Fraile is hanging on for dear life at the back in the blue jersey. Remember, the blue jersey at the moment is owned by Luis Leon Sanchez. Sanchez dropped, and there are 40 points on offer for Cima Coppi as well, of course, as the prize at the final podium on the final day of the Giro.
A lot of riders suffering. Rui Costa and Roland suffering there. Winner Anacona. I'm not too sure if he's riding within himself, and it's a Movistar tactic here.
It's Dignan putting the pace on. Luis Leon Sanchez is still there, hiding away as we saw the last shot. Mikel Landa third wheel. This is Gorka Aguirre now, pardon me.
So it's interesting to see that winner Anacona is just behind here, because I'm not too sure. From what we've seen so far, he has, you know, especially in Blockhouse, he was a tremendous...
He wasn't swinging
support
today, was he?
No.
Let's say that.
So maybe he's been told to drift back a little bit, and that'll be one stepping stone to the front for Quintana.
So is that the launch pad now? Is that set up for Nairo Quintana? Can we expect the move soon?
Well, it's looking that way at the moment because it has been hard for everybody. Jose Mendes as well, getting dropped, the sole representative for Bora Hansgrohe, and Lawrence Tendam has been dropped from the front, so he's not going to go full gas because he is the only person now that can help the pink jersey. So it's setting itself up nicely. We're just waiting and waiting and waiting for Quintana to make a move now.
Dombrowski with the man in the green on your screen there. 2 minutes and 1 second the gap. This is the group that is 2 minutes and 2 seconds now behind. Daniel Cataldo still in this group. Pink jersey Tom Dumoulin about halfway down. Thibaut Pinot jersey open. Third wheel. The man with his hands on the hoods right now, swinging from left to right. Bob Jungels is in front of him in the white jersey. He's riding another superb Giro d'Italia. That was his first Grand Tour stage win on Sunday. Had 5 days in the pink jersey before moving into white on Blockhouse. And the first stage winner of the Giro d'Italia from Luxembourg since Charlie Gaulle. Dijkman.
On a good day, Dijkman.
I think he's been on a lot of good days, hasn't he? It's such a shame for his point of view, at least anyway, that the Sky GC Challenge collapsed, because whenever I've seen him on the screen, he has looked mightily strong.
He's riding really well. This is Igor Anton, who's riding himself into a good Giro d'Italia as well, and he's kind of hanging about the back, but he's a pure climber, doing very well. But Dijkman is obviously chosen the good breakaway, but unfortunately he's got Lander there and has had to set the tempo at the front here.
Been through Peter Sagan corner there with all the Slovakian flags. Now then, virtual standing looks like this with André Amador in the breakaway. He will be 5th as it stands if the stage would have finished now at 3 minutes and 50. Gaps behind remain the same. No favourites drop from the second group yet. Remember, Steven Kruijswijk would also stand a move up. He remains in the lead. .86 kilometres to go, and we're at the snow line. Peter Stetina. Jesus Hernandez just behind him. Nairo Quintana on the left-hand side. Oh, and Dumoulin unhappy. Not the first time he's looked irritated with spectators on the side of the road, and you can understand his irritation. But I wonder if that's a sign of nerves today, because he has reacted 2 or 3 times personally.
Yeah, he's up for it. You can just see it's a bit of an adrenaline. Both Mollema and Tom Dumoulin were having a go at that spectator there. They're queuing up behind Quintana. They can sense what we're sensing now, because Harada at the back here is the only rider that Quintana's got. He's got 3 riders in front. He's got stepping stones. And both Mollema and Dumoulin are sitting right behind Quintana, expecting what we are half expecting, and we're going to see it again from the Colombian.
Left-hand side, Quintana there.
I think he was pushing
He was
Quintana.
It was a Colombian supporter pushing Nairo Quintana. Mollema and Dumoulin understandably didn't like that. We continue move up the altitude, above 2,000 meters now. We continue to climb up to the heavens. 2 skies in this breakaway, 2 Movistars, Steven Kruijswijk there as well. This is Igor Anton, king of Monte Zoncolan a few years back. Sanchez, Amador, Anton, Hurt, Izaguirre and Kruijswijk is the break. Two from Movistar alongside Mikel Landa and Philip Dijkman. Philip Dijkman, the Irishman, is the man who's working at the front. Running a really strong Giro d'Italia. Luis Leon Sanchez, if he can hang on here, stands to gain really good ground in the King of the Mountains competition. As does Mikel Landa, who was 3rd over the Cima Coppi, Passo del Mortirolo. When is the move going to come? Nairo Quintana has allies up the road. He has another man in between the breakaway and this group. Tom Dumoulin, the pink jersey's isolated, and Sean Kelly has joined me in the commentary box. Sean, what's your reading of what we've seen so far today?
Well, it's difficult to read it because there's so much happening here right from the start. It's been a real crazy race, and you know, we did see that group trying to get away, then getting caught on the first climb of the day up to Mortirolo, and another group going away. So it was all happening, and impossible to control for anybody in the race leader's pink jersey. Real difficult one today. That first, they were talking about 70 kilometres, but I don't agree with 70 kilometres, about 55 kilometres, and then it starts going uphill, and when you're going at that rate, 50 kilometres per hour, it does start to pinch, and you know, you feel that. But you know, what a race we have out here, and like, there's riders going through the finish area here. They're everywhere, small groups of riders all over the place, and that tells that, you know, the way they went up the Pass of Mortirolo, you know, everybody really suffered, and now it's going to be a tactical race. We can see there Dumoulin in difficulty, our teammates, as we forecasted, and everybody was saying, well, the team is not going to be strong enough to really look after them, and Kelterman, of course, the big loss. And yeah, you see Quintana there, Movistar, in a real good position at the moment. When you have two men up the road, it's so easy, you know, to get them to wait, because it's easy to get a rider to wait, just slow up and pedal slowly and drink and eat and get ready, and so he's in a real good situation. But how good is Quintana? Will he be able to ride away from the rest? Nibali, from Dumoulin, from Val Camonica, from all the other guys in the general classification? That is the question.
Well, that figure of 43 seconds in the middle top hand corner of your screen is where winner Annacona currently sits. What gap do you think that Nairo Quintana will be happy to bridge before he gets to Annacona, who we then expect, if the tactic is to work textbook style, to tow him up to the lead?
Well, I think, Rob, that's an easy one, because if you have a rider in between and he's a little bit further out, when the rider attack out the peloton like Nairo Quintana, you can easily call the rider and say, you know, slow up a bit, wait, slow down, and you can catch up very quickly that way. The big question is Quintana capable of doing that? And he will definitely try. He has to try something today. When you look at the general classification, we know that he's going to test the others. But how good will he be in his test? Will he be able to ride the others off? Notably Tom Dumoulin, notably Nibali, Val Camonica, all the guys in the general classification. Zakarin also. So we have to wait and see. But there will definitely be attack. When will it be? That is the question.
Annacona did have a couple of companions out there. He's now riding on. A little look behind. He's left a couple of his companions behind, pushing on a little up the road. 45 seconds he remains behind his two teammates, who are Andrea Amador, remember, 9th overall at 6 minutes and 1 second, and Gorka Izagirre, the stage winner on the day to Peschici in the first week. Absolutely enthralling stage. Here's the Movistar car, and this is where all the tactical planning is being done. This is the war room.
Yes, well, I think definitely there's a lot of tactics being worked out here, and you can see the Movistar car coming up. It looks like that winner Ancona is pushing on here for some reason. Maybe orders from the car, it's a bit too airy to be knocking off your effort. You have to keep on going here, and it's too far out for the finish. And yeah, is the tactic maybe to go for the final climb of the day? Who knows?
Well, we're getting towards the top of the Stelvio now, and you would think that if there is to be an attack at the Stelvio, when would it come? Where would it come from? Quintana takes a gel. Franco Pellizzotti's still there for Vincenzo Nibali. Dario Cataldo's there for Astana as well. Of course, a former teammate of Vincenzo Nibali, let's not forget. Eros Capecchi, another former teammate of Vincenzo Nibali. He's there with Bob Youngles in the white jersey. And Thibaut Pinot a little isolated as the CCC Sprandi Polkowice car attempts to get up to the road. They've got Jan Hurt in the break. This now is winner Annacona. Remember, if it augured well for Movistar at the start of the Giro d'Italia, they had a Victor Dalla Parte, and a winner Annacona in their lineup. Well, they have the final victor and winner in the shape of Nairo Quintana. Remember, they had Benati in the early break today. They stopped him. Quintana allaying fears that the crash the other day may have affected him, saying that he felt at 100%. Does Quintana have the legs to respond here? Third group includes Roland Grosjean, Tendam, Faria, that's Rui Costa, pardon me, Rui Faria da Costa, and Joe Dombrowski. So 2 launch pad men. Laurens Tendam won with a slightly different job. And winner Anacona, well, he's expected to be the motor for Nairo Quintana here to lift him to the top of the mountain. It's exactly what Dijkman's doing for Landa. We're 82 kilometres from the conclusion of the Queen stage of the Giro d'Italia, from Rovetta to Bormio. We can talk up today as much as we want as well, Sean. There's a chance that people might survive the day here. We might not see the big moves as we do see Omar Fraile being caught by the pink jersey group. We might not see the big moves cracking too many people, but this could hurt you 2 days down the line when you're in the Dolomites. It's not just about the day, it's about climb after climb after climb, whether you sleep well every night at altitude, whether you recover well. Everything added together this week, isn't it?
Yes, well, I think this is the start of the big week, and you know, today is going to be a very difficult day, and if you get through today, there's 4 other days to come after this one, and you can pay the price in the next couple of days as well after this huge big effort today. But 81.9 kilometres ago, there's still a long ways to do, and we can see there, certainly with Movistar and winner Anacona, he's been asked to push on, and he's got ahead of Tendam there. You can see Tendam is also just really fighting there. He wants to stay ahead as well for as long as possible. So, you know, they're all getting the orders out there. Keep on, you know, working at it. Give it close to your 100%. Get over this climb, and then we will see later after getting down the descent in the valley and onto the final climb of the day, of course, which is, I think, the most difficult one.
Steve Bradley on Twitter says, is there a tougher set of sportsmen in the world than the professional peloton? Well, if there are, I'd like to know. Hellish climb this. Certainly in the context of what else there was. Mortirolo earlier today. And this is TJ Van Garderen. Now then, where is he in the race here? Oh, he's out of the main group. Now that's interesting. Hello, TJ Van Garderen. Where have you been for 2 weeks? Turn up for the books anyway. Good news finally for BMC, Sean.
Well, we'll have to wait and see if it's good news, because how far is he going to get here? You know, when you see the group of big favourites there, and Trek Segafredo just pursuing the pace, working away at it, hard to ride away on a climb like this, and yeah, it's a long ways, you know, out to the front of the race, 2:21, and that's where TJ Van Garderen, you know, needs to be if he wants to get something out of this race, because in general classification he's totally out, so a stage victory, but you know, there's that 2:20 at the moment, so he's not going to be right away, I think, from that group of pink jersey and all the other favourites that easy.
Winner Anacona there at 21 seconds back from the leading group. 3 kilometres to the top of the Passo dello Stelvio. 18:25 when this route was opened. I wonder how much they thought that over a century later Fausto Coppi would ride this mountain and it'd become a legend in one of the most beautiful, beautiful sports in the world. That's Seba Senal being caught by the Trek Segafredo riders. Val Camonica sitting and waiting on the wheel. Bob Youngle's behind him in the white jersey. Nibali, Quintana, Dumoulin, Pozzovivo, they're all still in the group alongside Thibaut Pinot. Ino Zaccarin is there as well. Remember, Steven Kruijswijk remains 2 minutes and 9 seconds up the road alongside André Amador. Kruijswijk and Amador standing to move up as it stands. Now then, are we expecting an attack from Val Camonica here? You're getting the last few pedal strokes from the domestiques. And Val Camonica waits second wheel. It's his team that's taken responsibility now. And the group you're looking at on the road includes Laurens Tendam, who is the last man for Tom Dumoulin. Snow everywhere, temperature changing. A little bit of a wind blowing across the climb as well. Left to right as we look at it there. tailwind for the riders on this particular section now. Lots of people up there, as you'd expect, and the sun's just hidden behind a cloud. That doesn't alter the beautiful views down the mountain. Well, they'll be descending down most of the Stelvio that they've climbed here, all the way back to Bormio. It is a loop today, and we're going to take on the Umbrailpass. Now Tom Dumoulin is getting ready for the top. Still 3 kilometres to go. And getting a little bit of help there from Milo Zaccarin as well. Well, there'll be people ready to hand out newspapers for all of those who don't have the jackets and everything else, as we see Simone Petilli cracking. This is winner Anacona. Another crazed Colombian supporter on the side of the road. Their passion knows no bounds. With the lead of the race, and it's Philip Dijkman. Second wheel in the turquoise jersey, Luis Leon Sanchez, who was allowed to take the Passo del Mortirolo earlier today. Cima Coppi, he got 70 points for the King of the Mountains classification. He went into the lead in that category. 2 kilometres to go to the top of the Stelvio now. Remember, after this, it's a long descent to Prato, fairly technical. Intermediate sprint number 2 into Glorenza or Glurns. That's as we go into the province of Alto Adige. And after that, the Umbrailpass, once into Swiss territory. Favourites still looking around. Less than 3 kilometres, pardon me, to the top for this group, Sean. Are we going to see Quintana save it for the last mountain, you think, now?
It looks like that at the moment. You know, we're getting close, I'd say, inside the 3 kilometres maybe to the top of this one, and there's still, of course, 80 kilometres. It's a long way to the finish, and you know, for the teammates to do a lot of work, it's very, very far to get to this finish here in Bormio. So I think they're going to maybe wait and the final climb, and the final climb is the one. Like, if you're in good shape there, well, then you can, you know, do a lot of damage, but if you're in bad shape, you can lose so much, and I think that's where it's all going to kick off on the final climb of the day. And you know, still at the final climb, you have at the top you have still 19.5. I know it's downhill, but the climb itself, it's a real killer, and it's a long one. And yeah, it looks like that everybody is just going to wait for the final climb. 13.4 kilometres, and you know, the percentage is as difficult, if not more, than what we've been over already today.
And we've got 48 hairpin bends on the descent from the Stelvio to Prato as well. Let's not forget about the first technical descent to come. This group's looking for the stage, certainly as far as Sky is concerned, as far as Igor Anton at the back for Dimension Date is concerned. Movistar have other ideas. Now the Movistar car coming up to the bunch here, and winner Anacona's almost made it back. He dropped back waiting for a move, and he's almost made it back to the group ahead. So he's made quite a bit of an acceleration here. He's going to have the descent to come, and he's just over 1.5 kilometres from the top of the Stelvio. And this is absolutely stunning. Temporary graffiti there in the snow. One of them says Nibali in pink. I wonder what Nibali is thinking as well today. Eros Capecchi riding at the front, so Trek Segafredo done for the day. We didn't see an attack from Balco Mollema after his final domestique. Hernandez had finished. Interesting that nobody else is able to commit anybody, really. Vincenzo Nibali did have Franco Pelizzotti there, It looks as though he wants to keep him and his powder dry for now. 1 kilometre to the top. And Anacona's almost back. So the first fight here will be that of King of the Mountains points and Cima Coppi, of course, which is a huge bit of prestige in itself. Also, don't forget that the Trofeo Torriani goes to the stage winner today. It's another separate prize on the final podium in Milan. Just less than 80 kilometres to go. Soigneurs on the side of the road, bidons, food, because it's going to be impossible to find anywhere to eat and drink on the descent here. In those bags as well, I'm pretty sure that there'll be rain jackets, arm warmers if required. So important to stay warm up here as well, isn't it? Because we're at 2,700 metres above sea level, and there go the rain jackets. Yes. More wind stoppers on a day like today, aren't they?
Yes, well, it's very important that you do wrap up for the descent, and it's a hugely long one, 25 plus kilometres, and when you're climbing, of course, you know, you're working so hard on this one, you're very warm, but when you start going down the first kilometre or two, it's okay, but then after that it really starts to get cold, and we could see a bit earlier Tom Dumoulin putting on his windbreaker as well, his gilet, and it's a good sign when you see a guy putting on the gilet on the climb, because then it means that, yeah, he's feeling okay. If you're really on the limit of just hanging in there, it's difficult to do, but he seems to be comfortable enough for the moment.
Vincenzo Nibali does just that. Head of the race now, Igor Anton. Quick chat there with Philip Dijkman. Behind him was Mikel Landa, also Luis Leon Sanchez. It's the two Basque riders at the front, another Spaniard behind in Luis Leon. Igor Anton there with Mikel Landa, former teammates at Euskadi, remember, when Landa was a young man. Landa's gone for the full jacket there for the descent. Remember, 45 points for the first over here, 30 over for second, and the first 9 classified riders take points for the Cima Coppi. Anton, winner of the Monte Zoncolan stage of the Giro d'Italia the other year. And here goes Mikel Landa. Landa wants the Cima Coppi. And Mikel Landa out there for Sky. Looks as though, barring any sort of late comeback, he's going to take the Cima Coppi. Look behind from Landa. So a prestigious prize in itself. Every year the Cima Coppi awarded at the highest point of the Giro d'Italia. Remember, the last winner of the Cima Coppi last year was the late Michele Scarponi. 150 to the top. Wonderful, fervorous, brilliant atmosphere. Everything you want and expect from the Giro d'Italia Queen stage so far today. And Mikel Landa is going to take the latest prize. Luis Leon Sanchez took Cima Scarponi. Mikel Landa with the highly prestigious Cima Coppi at the top of the Stelvio, 2,758 metres. He leads stage 16 of the Giro from Rovetta to Bormio. He'll now regroup with those he's in the league group ahead. And it's time to try and think about a legendary stage win. And he's going about it the right way, Sean.
Well, looking good there, and you could see everybody just struggling to get to the top, and not surprising after what they've been over here. You know, 21.7 kilometres, 12% the steepest, but an average of 7.1. It's a real killer, and we've seen the way the breakaway just has, you know, really exploded, and you know, the riders there that are going to the top, they're still struggling, and yeah, it's an amazing climb, and out there, like the riders, they're all suffering, and will be interesting now to see will Landa push on or will he wait, still with 77.9 to go. I think he will wait up for the rest of the riders and try and make the descent and get onto the final climb of the day, see what an advantage they've got over the group of big favourites.
And what about Sky's plan today as well? It's worked pretty well so far, hasn't it? They got 4 in the breakaway, Kirienka to do the hard miles in the valley and on the false flat, and then they've had Sebastian, Dijkman doing a brilliant ride. Landa's hardly had the wind in his face.
No, Landa has had the teammates with him, and that's served a lot, and we did see Kirienka there. The way he was riding, he was, you know, on the Mortirolo, he was riding kilometre after kilometre, and then after that as well, he was still there and onto the, you know, the earlier part of the Stelvio, and Duignan, of course, as well, is riding magnificently. The last number of days we've seen him in breakaways there again today, just pulling that front group along. And yes, it's going to be down to Mikel Landa now, see can he get the stage victory.
Now, Laurens ten Dam doesn't have a rain jacket or a gilet. He's gone for a bit of newspaper, the old-fashioned way. And this is how they used to do it in your day, isn't it, Sean?
Yes, well, most of the time, of course, you just grab a piece of newspaper from the spectators and, put it under your jersey very quickly. Now we can see that the teams have a lot of helpers on the side of the road, much more personnel, of course, but some guys, need a gilet, other guys just need a newspaper, depending on the individuals. Some do not feel the cold as much, but it's always safer to have the gilet, and you can, just open a little bit if you're feeling a bit too warm.
Well, modern technology exists for a reason. Here's Eros Capecchi, who, remember, won that Giro d'Italia stage to San Pellegrino Terme a few years ago when he was in the same Liquigas team as Vincenzo Nibali. Takes his drink. Bob Youngles, in the meantime, the champion of Luxembourg, swaps his best young rider colours for those of his nation. Time to zip up and go down. 48 hairpin bends to take away and be very careful of on the way down, and just take a look at that. From either side, it's pretty, isn't it? Passo dello Stelvio, also called the Stilfjord in German language. Very close to German-speaking Switzerland here, and not far away from German-speaking Italy either. We'll head there in the next couple of days. In the meantime, this is how the Cima Coppi went. (1953) in the great Fausto Coppi to 2017. The 12th ascent of the Passo dello Stelvio in Giro history is complete. It was taken by Mikel Landameana with Igor Anton, his fellow Basque rider, in second. And it was a Spanish 1-2-3. Luis Leon Sanchez, the man from Murcia, in third, taking 20 points in the King of the Mountain standings. All about descent here. And after hard climbing, Sean, how difficult is it, pardon me, to have your wits about you?
Well, it depends on how much you've been suffering on the time, and some guys, they can just be hanging in whatever group they're in there, but they can just dig so deep because they know at this point, still with 75 plus kilometres to go, you have to hold on in there. And bike riders, it's unbelievable the way they can suffer. They can be on a little bit of an off day maybe, but at this point they can still hold on in there. But when it really gets aggressive in the final time of the day, that's where you get caught out. And if you've been doing that, well, then on the descent you have to be careful, and you have to drink, of course, as well. That's another thing. But we've seen the riders on the climb there in the group of big favourites. They were able to take a drink most of the time, but now you have to get a bit of food into you and just concentrate on the descent and be careful, because this is a very, very long one, and that's the problem in this stage today. You're climbing, then you're descending. There's not much time to relax, to recover, and you have to be focused all day.
The screech of brakes on carbon wheels. Those wheels will be heating up crazily on the way down here. 75 k's to go. The odd little bit of wet patch on the road where the snow's melting as well. That could make your day very unlucky indeed. Man in the blue here is Alexander Foliforov. Hasn't been on our screen much today, but he has been in the breakaway. Look at that. Road surface not great either.
No, and you can see there just a little bit of wet patch water, melted snow running across in the corner. It's okay for the 100 metres before the corner. The tyres get time to dry out, but when you go through the water into a corner, that's when you can slide out so easily.
You rejoin us as André Amador is on the attack downhill, as he knows very well. Mikel Landa's back in the group, so Amador is the leader of the race on the road, and it's his job here to pull out whatever he can on the downhill. Movistar have men in abundance up the road for Nairo Quintana. He's the man now who has to try and live up to the expectation and execute the plan with his legs. On the descent from the Stelvio, this is the 48 hairpin side to Prato allo Stelvio. Descending into Trentino, South Tyrol. And it is incredible. Costa descending, groups approaching him behind. In the meantime, listen to this list: Coppi, Gol, Battistini, Fuente, Galdos, Bernardo, Vona, Rujano, De Gent, Cataldo and Landa. 12 winners of the Cima Coppi on the Stelvio. It's not a bad list, is it?
Certainly not. There's you know, a lot of great riders there, and to win up here, you can see, you know, it's only the best riders, the great climbers can survive. Even in a breakaway, you know, there's none of the less better talented climbers can survive on this one. It's just such a long climb and such a difficult one, with percentage-wise, you know, kicking up 12%, and the distance as well, you know, 21.7 kilometres, and of course the altitude. When you get above 2,000 metres, we all know that's when it really gets difficult, and yeah, it's only the best climbers and, you know, the big champions can survive.
Well, who's best around the 48 hairpins? There'd have been short odds on this man, wouldn't there? André Amador of Costa Rica, former podium finisher at the Giro d'Italia, has opened up a little bit of a gap on those chasing down. Behind him, Mikel Landa rejoined by the group. And André Amador, well, he's just going to see what he can get here, Sean, isn't he?
Well, I think 210 the advantage at the moment. He has to try and just keep as much an advantage as possible. And of course, on the descent, if you're a good descender, you can, you know, descend without having to make too much of an effort. Although this one, with so many hairpins, you have to knock off your high speed at a lot of the times, and then, you know, build it back up again. So it is a bit of a demanding one, but it's the same for everybody on the descent, and he wants, you know, to keep on pushing on and get onto the final climb of the day, I reckon, and then see what can be done, see what Quintana can do. Can he ride away from the rest of the general classification then?
Snaking down the Stelvio. Climb up today from Bormio, we descend into Prato allo Stelvio and into the province of Trentino, South Tyrol. Descent goes into the Val Venosta and then up to Glorenza, where we'll have the intermediate sprint. 3, 2 and 1 bonus seconds available there. And André Amador. Is André Amador a technically gifted descender, Sean, or is he a man who just doesn't show any fear?
Well, first of all, to be able to go down and you cannot have fear. But he's a good descender as well. We've seen him, you know, in the Giro a number of times where he's made some magnificent descents, and you can see here the way he's going down. And when you ride away from, you know, the other group that he was with, there are a lot of good descenders there as well, but he's just that little bit, you know, better, and you can, you know, pull out metre by metre in that way.
He's using every bit of road he can. Meantime, that's Mikel Landa. And that's a nervous image. I never like watching this. Don't hit a pothole. Through the woods as well. It's not an ugly part of the world, is it? This is Gorghi's Aguirre then. It looks as though he may be the man at the back of this group. Dropping back perhaps. Ready in the valley for Nairo Quintana. He was on the radio then. We can but speculate. As Rui Costa is caught by Eros Capecchi. Second wheel there is Bob Youngles. Thibaut Pinot placed nice and high on the descent. Just behind him, Bauke Mollema. So we're back with Landa. Now, where is he in relation to everybody else? Oh, this could be an attempt to try and catch Amador here. Is that the man up ahead? Certainly looks like it. Wow. Well, Mikel Landa pressing on from the group as well, and he's about to catch Amador at the front of the race. Yep, that is some bit of effort there by Mikel Landa, showing that as well as going uphill, he's pretty handy going down. And there'll be some of you watching on the couch, maybe down under in Australia in the evening, watching with half an eye at work when you shouldn't be. Certainly with half an eye closed here, because it's nervous just watching this, and it's an exhibition right now from Amador and Landa. Look at that, one of the chasing groups dropping all the way back almost to the Maglia Rosa. They're almost 24 seconds by. In the meantime, Amador and Landa have opened up about 20 seconds on the Maglia Rosa on this descent so far.
Yes, well, we can see they are pushing on, and yeah, they have a plan here. They want to, you know, keep as much advantage as possible, get down to the valley and get onto the final climb. And when you look at that 2:24, it's not a lot considering the final climb. The Umbrail Pass, it's a long, long one again, and a difficult one. And if there's a battle behind between big favourites, well then, you know, that 2 minutes and 25 will come down so quickly, and that's the reason they have to push on and, you know, keep as much an advantage as possible ahead of the big group of favourites. And they have the bit in the valley as well, which is going to be a difficult one here. And yeah, still 66 kilometres to go. It's a long way considering the day they've had already.
Descending a big part today. They're descending both parts of the Stelvio, remember. Today, an affirmation, a reaffirmation of what is great about professional cycling. 3 legendary mountains, some tough descents to be taken on, and we're on the penultimate descent of the day. 1 huge climb still to take. The Queen stage of the Giro d'Italia with Andrea Amador and Mikel Landa at the lead, and they've been giving us a masterclass in how to descend the mountains so far. But it's a long old one. 48 hairpin bends on this rapid downhill to Prato allo Stelvio. Amador's the man in the front with the big green M on his backside there. Behind with the black rain jacket on here is Mikel Landa. Movistar and Sky at the front. Quick conversation between the two. It's in both their interest to work together and push on here. Remember, Sky have nothing in the general left. Now this is Steven Kruiswijk. This isn't the group that is 2 minutes and 14 behind. This is group number 2 on the road, with no time gap to that just yet. Kruiswijk's in the yellow. Philip Dignan's in this group as well. Also there for Movistar looks to be Winner Anacona. Igor Anton at the back with a clear rain jacket on. These are the 2 in the lead. And it is a moment to remember why we love this sport. We've been treated to an exhibition today. Andrea Amador, Costa Rican again, showing us how good he is downhill. Well, certainly at least how courageous he is. Mikel Landa behind. It's in their interest to work together, isn't it here, Sean? Because Movistar are looking at the overall. Sky are looking to try and get Landa up to a stage win.
Yes, well, it's difficult to work together at the moment because on the downhill...
of course, once they get into the bottom.
Yes, so until they get down onto the bottom and get into the valley, well, that's where it would be important if they can work together. If they can hold off that group, and of course we can see Steven Kruiswijk as well in the chasing group. What's left of that breakaway, he's also pushing on. So will they be able to hold on out in front, or will the 2 that are out in front maybe just knock off and hopefully those come up? And it would be important, I think, because first of all, Landa, he is dying back there. I think he's, you know, able to give a bit more getting on to the final climb in the valley, certainly, and maybe on the beginning of the final climb of the day.
Interesting that Tom Dumoulin has survived an ascent of the Mortirolo, an ascent of the Stelvio without one serious attack yet, Sean. I know there's a really tough climb still to go, so a lot of people could be forgiven for keeping their powder dry, but with the gap that he has, are you surprised that nobody has really put him under pressure yet?
Not really. I think when you consider the distance from the finish on the Stelvio, it's a long ways, and even with teammates out in front, you know, to take you across and take you up the climb, it's still very far from the finish. And I think when you look at the final climb of the day, we're going up to 2,500 metres once again, and it's a climb of 13.4 kilometres, and the gradient is, you know, average of 8%, but it does kick up a lot more than that in places. So there is lots of time to, I think, create the difference. If you're really good on this final climb, well, then you can do a lot of damage to the some of the other riders.
2 minutes and 35 back to the pink jersey from Andrea Amador and Mikel Landa. And descending down the other side of the Stelvio to Prato. And we're just over 10 kilometres away from the final intermediate sprint of the day. That comes in the town of Glorenza, or Glorenz. Chasing group on your screen still has winner Anacona in it. What a shot this is of Mikel Landa in the meantime. 44.24 down. How different it could have been had it not been for the police motorbike for him. Andrea Amador in the meantime is riding another brilliant Giro d'Italia. 9th as it stands, 6 minutes and 1 from the overall lead. Back in the Maglia Rosa group. Maglia Rosa himself descending down here. They're losing time all the time to Amador and Landa as Amador shakes out the cobwebs. Looks for food. Has he got some? Yes. He's going to need that now. One of the hardest things about today, isn't it? Eating and drinking, really, because it's when you're not climbing, you're descending.
Yes, well, depending how you're feeling as well, if you're on a difficult day, well, then it's difficult to eat on the uphill, because when you start eating, of course, it affects your breathing. But if you're comfortable, you can do that bit easier on the descent, depending on what way you're going. And there's nobody really pushing that fast on the descent, so I think most of the riders will be able to get something. We can see Amador there, he was just checking and got something. It looked like a gel pretty quickly and got it into him. You need to be careful today that you have to keep on topping up with the energy bars, your gels, and of course drinking a lot during the day, because it's a big calorie day today.
Eros Capecchi still at the front on the right hand side. Tom Dumoulin just coming up behind him as well. And Dumoulin has regained a teammate. I think that is Laurens ten Dam, who's now dropped back. Meantime, 20 seconds for the two leaders on this group. Their original breakaway companions. 57 kilometres to go. Well, we already knew that Mikel Landa and Andrea Amador weren't hanging around, and we've just had the proof in numbers of that. 30 seconds is their gap now to the group chasing behind Hurt, Anacona, Anton, Kruiswijk and Dijknen. Whilst we're away in the break, Kruiswijk put in a little dig of his own as well. Just succeeded in pulling on the pace, and all the gaps back to the Maglia Rosa group are also increasing. 2 minutes and 45 seconds now. A lot of time for these gaps still to change, Sean, as well, with the final climb, the Umbrailpass, and with all the talk of the Mortirolo and the Stelvio, I suppose it's pretty easy to underestimate the Umbrailpass, but it's its maiden inclusion in the Giro d'Italia. And for 13 kilometres, it's a consistent 9% gradient, maximum pretty early on at 12%. Not easy, is it?
No, it's certainly not easy, and you know, the day they've had already, the racing has been very fast, and you know, 2 major climbs already in the legs, and this one is going to be another long slog up this climb of 13.4 kilometres. And the reason Kruiswijk is riding, you know, back in the peloton of the favourites and the pink jersey, they're starting just to look around a bit, and that's where he can pull out the advantage here and go on to the final climb with maybe 3 minutes, and that would be a real interesting one. And you can see Amador and Landa, they're pushing on, and of course the problem is 2 teammates. We can see Anacona and Dijknen, they're not going to do anything here, so that's the problem with the 5 breakaway riders. We can see it's Kruiswijk again just putting in that dig and pushing on.
Hurt, Anton, Dijknen, Anacona, and the man Sean's talking about in the yellow, Steven Kruiswijk. Andrea Amador in the meantime here. 30 seconds the last gap. 2 minutes 45 back to Tom Dumoulin and the pink jersey. as it stands, Andrea Amador has almost taken back half of the time that Tom Dumoulin had on him at the start of the day. Not important to now, but of course could well be important towards the end of the day. We're expecting an attack at some point from Nairo Quintana if he has the legs. I think it'd be hugely disappointed if he couldn't put in a dig. Certainly for those who worked so hard for him all day for Movistar, they have executed a perfect plan. Now there's big pressure on Quintana to pull it off. There is Quintana on the right-hand side, just moving to the back of this group. Nibali is there. Interesting that Nibali might be on his own. He did have Franco Pellizotti with him the last time we saw him. I'm looking down at the group at the minute as Laurens Tendam is there for Tom Dumoulin. Dumoulin doesn't look the happiest, gesticulating at Tendam there. Tendam is the old calm head. Two riders from Katusha as well. In fact, Franco Pellizotti is still there for Vincenzo Nibali. Thibaut Pinot also has two men towards the back. Domenico Pozzovivo still in this group. Dario Cataldo still there too. Remember, Dario Cataldo started the day in 13th place at 8 minutes and 14 seconds. Now, Steven Kruijswijk's acceleration is almost half the gap that Amador and Landa had. Igor Anton there too with Philip Dijkman. Not sure what they're trying to tell us with the graphic of Pierre Roland there. Guess he's just been reabsorbed. There he is, the right-hand side, reabsorbed by the peloton, and I think the way he was slowing up, he will be making his own way into the finish without troubling the scorers today. So Kruijswijk, Hurt, Anacona, Dijkman, and just a few wheel lengths back after being fed a moment ago, Igor Anton. Second chasing group on the road. The last time we had a check on them a moment ago, they were 16 seconds behind the two leaders, Amador and Landa. This now is the Maglia Rosa group. Time to get rid of those jackets, and it's almost time to start climbing again. First of all, there's an intermediate sprint 4 kilometres up the road. There's Gorka Ezeguirre at the back of this group. Intermediate sprint comes at 48.8 to go. Then we go into Switzerland with 37.4 kilometres remaining. And then we begin climbing. So little part of the route now heading towards Switzerland and flatter than it was. Thanks for all your tweets as usual. Marco Misticoni says today's stage is easily the most beautiful of all Grand Tour stages. Certainly up there, isn't it? We've been treated to brilliant racing since the gun. Wonderful scenery, and there's the prospect for so much drama still to come. Brian Smith's been here in the commentary box. Sean Kelly's alongside me now. You can tweet any predictions or questions for Sean at RobHatchTV, at Eurosport_UK, and please hashtag your tweets Giro100. So they've almost been caught. Kruijswijk has done most of the chasing as well, Sean.
Yes, well, he has. We can see he's the one who's really closed this down, because he was the one, I think, of the most interest in trying getting back up to the two men here, Amador and Mikel Landa, and now it's going to be interesting to see what way they will work together, because if they can really pull together most of the riders here, well then they should be able to hold on at least that 2:33 as we go 50 kilometres to go. And maybe they can pull that out. If back in the peloton there's not really, you know, an open pace, we could see this gap growing to be a bit more than this 2:33.
At the start of the day, Jose Luis Arrieta was talking about whether it was now or never for Nairo Quintana. He said today was the first of many nows this week, because they had opportunities every single day. You'd expect on a day like today there to be somebody to attack Tom Dumoulin. And you'd expect, after all the work that Movistar had done today, the way they'd executed their plan, Nairo Quintana has to attack, or at least try to attack, on this final climb, surely.
Well, you would think so, that he has to try something here, and when you look at the general classification, he has a lot to make up on Tom Dumoulin, 2:41, but let's not forget the time trial in the very end of the race, and that's where he has to, I suppose, calculate what he can, lose to Tom Dumoulin again on this final time trial. So it's certainly a minute and a half plus, and so when you calculate all of that, well, he has to start working away at it and take time back. Will he take some today? I think he's going to definitely try, and the other days, of course, just have to keep working at it and try and just grind that down, that time he has to make on Tom Dumoulin, just grind it down slowly. But anybody can have a difficult one on this final climb, and if some of the general classification men really have a bad end on this final climb of the day, they could lose many minutes.
Franco Pelizzotti feeding Vincenzo Nibali in the red jersey with the navy sleeves. Adam Yates is still in this group. He's kept really well hidden today. We have hardly seen him. Another man to look out for. How's he feeling? Is today the day to gain some time and get into the top 10? He started 11th place. He's at 7:43. Remember, there's a place in the top 15 up for grabs because Ben Hermons did not finish today. Kenny Elisond also climbing off. Same to be said of Sean de Beat. Nibali calm enough at the minute, able to choose the flavour of what he's going to have.
Yes, we can see that he just had a look what Pelizzotti had in his hand, and he just takes one out, and we can see the way they're riding at the moment. They're not pushing on here in this group, so it's pretty easy for those guys to be able to do that. And now is the time, make sure that you have plenty of food, plenty of gels, and also, lots of drink here, because when we get on to the next climb, if the battle starts, well, then there's not much time. The cars, will be a long ways off. When the group splits, there'll be riders, scattered all over the mountain, so the cars will not be loud up, and you have to just, plan that in advance.
Philip Dijken, what a Giro d'Italia he's having. Hand up there from Steven Kruiswijk, who's been battling on brilliantly despite breaking a rib in Yorkshire. Something he managed to keep quiet until this weekend. Jan Hurt doing a good ride today, and the orange as well, the strong Czech rider. Elos Capecchi is the man at the front. Behind him, Bob Jungels. Franco Pelizzotti protects Vincenzo Nibali, and here comes Ruben Plaza. Again, Orica Scott are going to work, and again they're going to work for Adam Yates. It's because the gap's going out to 3 minutes and 8 seconds now. Tom Dumoulin at the moment won't be worried about André Amador or Steven Kruiswijk, but those around him will be worried about their places on GC. And although I know that some people think it's negative, some people don't like it, that's the reason really why Trek Segafredo are riding on the climb, riding to keep Mollema's place. Some will argue, including our very own Brian Smith early on, that people should have just sat back and put pressure on Team Sunweb. Getting well organised in that group up the road. Not far from the intermediate sprint now, inside a kilometre to go or so. 3, 2 and 1 bonus seconds available. And those seconds have come in handy, I'm pretty sure, for Amador and Kruiswijk. Amador at 6:01. He's at the back of this group now. Doesn't look like he's going to go for them, though. Doesn't look like anybody's going to go for them. Surprise you?
No, not really. I think Amador is just going to concentrate on this final climb, and the small amount of seconds you're going to take there. But again, it's always it's always 6 seconds.
They all count, don't they?
They all count in the end. But it looks like that he's just committed here to continue on this move and this breakaway and keeping him as much as an advantage. And will he be the one to be allowed to go all the way at this stage? Will he be able to do that? Because he's in very top company here, and it's looking good here. 3:15, so they are, but little by little they are pulling out their advantage from this main part of the peloton.
Bob Jungels on the left-hand side. Look behind from Vincenzo Nibali as well. Nairo Quintana. Everybody checking where everybody is, surveying who's with them. Umbrailpass is the man at the front, very experienced rider. And a changing of the guard in terms of who's doing the riding.
Yes, and we can see there's a lot of riders just talking with each other, looking around. Nobody wants to pull here, and this is the section now where in the valley we can see it's, you know, pretty flat road, and I think the teams are concerned if you put your men on the front and push on here, well then you're going to lose them immediately when you get on to the final time of the day. So it's going to be an interesting one. It looks like Katusha wants to take up the pulling with Ruben Plaza there, who wants to push on, and they need to do that because this could go out, you know, 4 minutes, 4.5 minutes if they continue at this pace.
Tom Dumoulin back to the car. This is while the looking around was happening then, maybe. Dumoulin had put his hand up. A little bit of a chat. Didn't look like there was a mechanical. There he is drifting on. Now then, any idea what the issue might be here? Just a chat, maybe? Just a tactical chat? But they can do that over the radio, can't they?
Yes, but it's much easier to do it, and in this small group, you know, we can see here it's not a big peloton where you have to go a long ways back. You can go to the rear of this one and move up pretty quickly. You're still on big roads, and you know, to talk with the team directly, it's so much easier and so much easier to understand it. And it looks like Tom Dumoulin is just talking, what do we do here? And we can see they're just staying off here and not getting involved in the pace of the front for the moment, and push other teams to make him do something.
Katusha Alpecin and Orica Scott pushing on, and whilst they have a little look around each other, it's time for us to go and have a little look around at everything surrounding the end of the day stage with Juan Antonio Flecha.
Technical, fast and long last descent from Umbrail Pass, the last one of the 3 climbs that the rider will have to go up and down on today's stage. The queen one of the Giro d'Italia, and there's one factor very important and dangerous at the same time for the riders. It's going to be the tunnels. There are a few gallerias all the way along that last descent, and that's the moment where the riders will be transitioning from a dry tarmac onto a very wet one. It's damp, it's dark, and there's a lot of water leaking on those rocks because there's still snow and glaciers in this magnificent area in Bormio. So lots of risk, lots of danger, and a lot of ambition for the riders to get this stage victory.
So Juan Antonio Flecha's take on it. Let's get confirmation of those points on offer at the intermediate sprint. 10, 6 and 3 for Dignan, Landa and Anton. None of those guys up there in the points classification at the minute. That's still very much the domain of Fernando Gaviria. Luis Leon Sanchez dropping back to this group now to work for Dario Cataldo. Katusha Alpecin and Ilnur Zakarin were one of the teams that Movistar were talking about today. Jose Herrera singling out Amador in particular, and he's a man that's been getting better. He was excellent at Europa, remember. There's Francois Bida on the left-hand side wearing 13. The number traditionally turned upside down for Agir Desert is there and ready for Pozzo Vivo. Dumoulin back in the group. Yates still in this group. Pino, Nibali, Quintana and the rest. Val Camonica too. It's swollen, it's grown, and we're all ready to take on the final climb coming up right after this. Welcome back. Stage 16 of the Giro d'Italia from Rovetta to Bormio. Steven Kruiswijk at the head of the race right now. Head of the race, it's being chased down. And Umbrailpass is doing quite a job to chase it down. He's being helped out as well. Katusha Alpecin, Bahrain Merida and Astana are all involved. Well, for the first time in the race, they're going to climb again in the Val Monastero. They're going to climb up to Tubre and into Switzerland. Philip Dignan's been in the breakaway, but he is done for the day. Ouch. Mikel Land is still in the group in front. He's with Steven Kruiswijk. He's with Amador, Anacona and Jan Hurt. This is Ruben Placer catching them. They've chopped off about 20 seconds since Orica Scott went to the front to start riding. Katusha Alpecin also there. There's Franco Pelizzotti, third wheel. The rider from Katusha, by the way, is José Gonçalves, the Portuguese. There's Jesper Hansen for Astana. And between the two groups on the road, there's 900 metres. 2 minutes and 41 as we climb into Switzerland. Enter Switzerland in, what, 4-5 kilometres time now to Mustard. Another UNESCO World Heritage Site. Seems that we visited them without stopping this year. Loads on the Giro map. This particular one, the Benedictine Monastery of St. John. UAE Fly Emirates. Well, they needed some divine intervention if Brie Costa was going to win the stage today. He's drifted back. Hasn't been climbing anywhere near as well as these guys. Igor Anton is always a dangerous man, certainly with just a stage victory in mind. Andrea Amador and Movistar, now what do they have in mind? Surely Nairo Quintana has to try and put to bed the top work that's been done by his team all day. For that to happen, this breakaway's got to stay away for a little bit. They've got to keep an advantage, and this is where every other team is putting pressure on them, and Sunweb now. There's Franco Pelizzotti, 39 years of age now. Had his trouble in his career. A couple of years suspension, of course, for abnormal blood values. This year he is a very trusted domestique, the lieutenant of Vincenzo Nibali. Hansen's the man on the left-hand side in the turquoise, working for Dario Cataldo. Looks as though he might be struggling a bit. In fact, he is. He's done. Speed between the two groups. Mollema travelling at 30 kilometres per hour there. Kruiswijk at 23. Little undulating round here, though. We can't take that as gospel. Little bits of ups and downs before we start the final climb. Final climb itself, the Umbrail Pass, is going to be very, very difficult. This is where we've been, over the Passo del Mortirolo, Passo della Foppa side today. Then the Stelvio from Bormio, descending into Prato. We've been through the intermediate sprint and the road goes up from here. Climb proper begins once we're into Switzerland. Now Andrea Amador, Movistar, they're losing their gap quite quickly here, Sean. 2 minutes and 19, it remains a decent gap, but the rate at which they're knocking seconds off, is that going to be worrying Movistar?
It's certainly going to be worrying, and we can see the reason why, because in the peloton, the riders that are pushing on there, Ruben Plaza and the Katusha rider, they're really pushing on, and they're going to just ride, you know, for a number of kilometres, and then their day's work is over. Where the breakaway, they have, you know, to continue on up this climb, and there's some of those guys, you know, thinking of winning the stage. The other ones want to, you know, keep an advantage as much as possible. Kruiswijk, of course, the general classification, he want to hold on to as much advantage as possible. But Amador and Kona, they probably have other ideas in their mind here, other tactics, and so they are just walking away from it. And 2:15 at the moment, and you know, 40 kilometres we can see to go, and it's already kicking up quite a lot here. And you know, when you look at the final time itself, it talks about 13.4 kilometres, but it's much more than that if you start taking into account what we have to do here in the valley. And this is, you know, a real leg breaker before you get to this really difficult climb, the final one of the day.
The Umbrailpass, it's being touted as the 3/4 of the Stelvio. Look at this, 5 hours, 5 minutes of racing already. Forget about the climb on its own. It's what's gone before that can also influence what happens now. And while we wait for that action, a chance to admire the pure natural beauty of this region. So the weather forecast for the Umbrailpass, it's around 3 degrees warmer than it was on the Stelvio. A little bit of a wind blowing about, 20 kilometres per hour at times. And we're in the last couple of kilometres of Italian territory. And once we've climbed the Umbrail Pass, that is the border to go back into Italy. Right at the top of the pass. Who's at the front of the race? Hurt and Amador with Ancona, Anton, Krausweg and Landa. Landa did have 3 teammates with him at one stage. Asli Kirienka to do the riding in the valley. With Sebastian on the Stelvio. Philip Dignam for the second half of that mountain. And for a while down here in the valley as well. The Umbrail Pass will be taken on. The official classified point. Beginning a little further up now. What's happening here? Ruben Plassa and Dario Cataldo. I think that was something along the lines, in less polite language, and what are you doing?
Yes, it's an interesting one. I have no idea what the reason, because we know why Ruben Plaza is riding here, to try and keep the breakaway at the minimal advantage as possible, and then for Adam Yates to try something on the final climb. And Cataldo there just calling. Maybe some of the riders want to just have a pull over for a moment. Maybe that is the reason, but we haven't seen that. And interesting one.
José Gonçalves in the red of Katusha Alpecin at the front, just behind Ruben Plassa. Ruben Plassa has just had an earful from Dario Cataldo. Plassa responding, well, I'm only doing my job. I wonder if Cataldo's thinking about the other day when Orica Scott worked and worked and worked and then nothing came of it, and it made the day faster and more difficult for the rest of those. Could have been a case of, oh, not you lot again. Would be a little harsh. Great to see a team taking it to everybody else. No such response from Franco Pellizzotti, third wheel. Cataldo, remember, the man in the turquoise jersey, fourth wheel, is at 8 minutes and 14 from the lead of Tom Dumoulin. Rather large group has swelled again here. Sebastian Reichenbach is returned for Thibaut Pinot after he was dropped towards the top of the Stelvio. 2 minutes and 9 seconds up the road. They've lost almost a minute of the advantage they had. Steven Krausweg and company. There's Jan Hurt on the left-hand side, really riding a good race, the man from the Czech Republic. Mikel Landa there. He'll be thinking what might have been for Team Sky. A winner Ancona, after having already dropped back to maybe help Nairo Quintana, got back to the front. He's doing a great job again. I wonder if it will come out afterwards whether Quintana at that particular moment didn't have the legs to attack when Movistar were executing that plan, or whether they changed their mind about the tactic for some other reason.
Well, it's an interesting one. Well, I think first of all, the distance from the finish, I think that was going to be the problem. And when you see what they have to get through in the valley here, there was a lot of flat section, and then this, gradual uphill. I think they were all concerned about that, because they have been climbing now, although the gradient is not a lot. It's still 38.8 kilometres in the finish, and they have been going uphill for a long time. I think that was the problem to get onto the final climb. So I think the distance to get into the final climb was a bit too much from the Stelvio Pass, and that was the reason we did not see any action from Quintana. But on the final one here, I think there's a lot of opportunities on this one. It's a long one, over 13 kilometres, and the gradient is something that Quintana will really like. If he's riding well, he's feeling good, he has to attack, and he has to try something on this one.
Nairo Quintana in the centre of the shot as you see it. Pink jersey towards the back, he has Laurens ten Dam in front. I'm just wondering with Cataldo here, as we see those unique bidons that have been produced with the image of Frankie the macaw on to remember Michele Scarponi as we went over the Cima Scarponi today. Just thinking to Dario Cataldo a minute ago, I wonder if he was angry that teams that didn't have the pink jersey were riding, and maybe he thought that more pressure should have been put on Sunweb here.
Well, it's an interesting one, of course. You know, there's riders in between as well, let's not forget. And
they're going to protect their own position, aren't they?
Yes, and that is, I think that is the reason. And Cataldo, surprising that he, you know, was talking with Ruben Plaza, and you know, Ruben Plaza have orders, and if he's got orders from the Director Sportif to ride in the front as far as he can, and that is going to be, he's just going to ride until he, you know, go to a standstill, and then he will just pull off and make his own way to the finish. And you cannot say Anto rider for doing that. You know, that's his job. And when you have the team orders, you have just to, you know, leave the riders get on and do it.
Here we go again, bit of a messing about here. Kravsvik trying to get everyone to ride, I think. He's also coming back to his team car. A little bit of a misunderstanding with Amador. 2 minutes and 4. They've lost a minute from the gap. Coming over to the border. We leave Italy and we head to Switzerland. And it's a quick trip to Switzerland. Thankfully, passport's not required here. So there's the border. And we head towards the town of Mustaya. Following that, it's the Umbrailpass. And the Umbrailpass, which should start in around 4 kilometres time. As Sean said, we've been climbing though for a while. This is the breakaway of the day, as we're in Swiss territory. The only foreign excursion on this Giro d'Italia. Mikel Landa riding on the front because he knows his own stage win possibilities are on the line now. They've been quite content to let the rest do the work. But Katusha Alpecin and Orica Scott in particular want to chase this down. Well, 36.4 of the 222 kilometres on this Queen stage of the Giro d'Italia remain. We started the day in Rovetta. We've been over the Passo del Mortirolo. We've been over the Passo dello Stelvio, and we are heading up the Umbrail Pass, the Giogo di Santa Maria, to give it its Italian name. Heading up to Italy once more for a 19-kilometre descent back into Bormio, where the final 100-kilometre loop of today's stage began. Today's stage that has offered us so much. I'll tell you what, for the next few kilometres, they'll have better roads, won't they, in Switzerland? We've had some awful surfaces throughout this Giro d'Italia. It's amazing how quickly it changes when you get over the border.
Yes, you can see here really good surface in Switzerland, but again, a lot of the roads we've seen on the route of today's stage, a lot of new surface, but also a lot of, you know, ones where it's a little bit not the best of surface, but certainly they have a good surface for a number of kilometres here until they get onto the final climb of the day. And you can see 151 at the moment. It is going to be a difficult one here for the breakaway, because on the final climb, I think when we see the attacks, hopefully from Quintana, that will, you know, be a difficult one to go all the way to the finish. 150. I don't know if it's going to be enough. You need somebody here who was really good, and is landed that good that he can hold off just with under 2 minutes all the way to the finish with still 35k to go.
Yeah, and we haven't even started the classified part of the climb yet, and another 15 seconds off the brakes of Vantage goes. Tension is building. Steven Kruiswijk will be disappointed because good work that he's done today, some of it is being absorbed. Now, this breakaway, remember, Mikel Landa took the Cima Coppi, didn't he? Courtesy of Velon, we've just had some data in. The last 4 kilometres of the Stelvio for Mikel Landa took him 13 minutes, 46 seconds. Average speed of 17.4 kilometres per hour. His 60-second peak power, 393 watts. Average power for that almost 15-minute effort, 309 watts. Landa putting the numbers out. What does he say for the final climb? 35 kilometres remain. The Swiss section of the Alps and the 100th Giro d'Italia visits. Remember, today we're heading to Bormio. We've had some important stages finish here, remember. 1953, the very first ascent of the Stelvio was Cima Coppi. Double win by Charlie Gaulle in 60 and 61. Eric Breukink won in 1988. Gilberto Simoni, Giro d'Italia, he was the stage winner in 2000. Last time we finished in Bormio, the Little Prince was crowned. 2004, Damiano Cunego became the king of the Giro. One of his 4 stage wins that year. Still Gonçalves in the red of Katusha Alpecin. Just behind Ruben Placer, grimacing as he continues to ride. Edward Ravasi still in the group. Patrick Conrad at the back for Bora Hansgrohe. And after his earlier attack, remember TJ Van Garderen there as well. Davide Formolo in the green for Canadel Drapac. Nairo Quintana, the man everybody's watching. Nairo Quintana immediately against the pink jersey of Tom Dumoulin. 2 minutes and 41 separate them. There is Domenico Pozzovivo as you look to the other favourites. Top of your picture there, 151 in the red jersey, is Ilno Zakharin, the Russian. Zakharin, who's had the odd disastrous incident on this Giro d'Italia, but has stayed up there. He's 5th overall at 4 minutes and 24. And look out for Vincenzo Nibali, as well as Thibaut Pinot. They're in this group too. Adam Yates. Yates is attempting to climb into the top 10 as Kravsvik pushes on. Road rises and Steven Kravsvik attacks. The minute nobody can stay with him. Long, long way from here, Sean, but tell you what, kudos to Steven Kravsvik. He comes good in the 3rd week of the Giro d'Italia. He loves this country, he loves this race, and he is prepared to lose it big style in order to gain hugely.
Yes, well, he is going at an early stage, but again, he's got to try and get on with the business here, because I think in the breakaway there's some of the riders just not giving their best here and trying to get as far up the valley to get onto the toughest part of the climb in the best state possible, and just meaning spare your energy, and that's the reason Kravsvik is going out here. But we can see other riders coming across. Landa looks like he's trying to get across there. Amador also chasing him there. And this breakaway is starting to split up big time.
Amador's following at the moment. Anacona's marking Anton and saving energy. Well, there's a real danger for Movistar here, that all that work, all of that effort is going to come to nothing, because Anacona is slipping back. Amador is up the road. Only Amador up the road. Well, Anacona is there at the moment, Sean.
Sorry, I think Anacona, you know, he maybe have orders here just to start taking it a bit easy and just rest up a bit, and Quintana, but it's a bit early yet. I think he has to get further up the road here, because with 33 kilometres to go to get onto the most serious part of the climb. The climb itself is just, you know, over 13 kilometres. So yeah, he's going to get onto it, but will he be far enough up for Quintana to create the damage to get ahead of the other big favourites? And we can see that Amador is trying to push on here. It's really interesting now. I think that's where the tactic of Movistar is going to come in. What they're going to do here, we can see Anacona just really not pushing on at the moment.
Not pushing on. He's allowing Jan Hurt to help now. Anacona, pardon me, behind. There is Igor Anton with him. Anton, remember, only interested in the stage win here. Previous stage win at the Giro d'Italia came on Monte Zoncolan, remember. That was when he was at Movistar. Back in the peloton, all eyes on Nairo Quintana. Amador being pulled back. Well, all smiles in the commentary box. Not too much feeding going on there. Brian Smith brought the ice creams. Ice creams, sweets, Short of nothing up here. Short and out, as we say where I'm from. 32.5 k's to go, and we're going to start the Umbrail Pass. 13 kilometres. Really, really steady 9%. Maximum goes up to 12% fairly early on in the climb. And this is how we started. 1 minute and 39. Orica Scott and Katusha Alpecin have brought back plenty of the gap that was twice as much as it is now. There's Jan Hurt in the orange, the Czech rider, looking for what would be a big welcome stage win for CCC Sprandi Polkovica. Landa and Krauswijk, the most advanced men on the road.
And we're getting very close to the climb now. Surprising. I reckon that he was trying to hold on, but not possible, and just had to just take off his jersey and go.
Oh dear. Unfortunate, wasn't it? Poor Tom Dumoulin. Well, that's one that's going to be replayed and replayed, I think. Now, what happens here in the peloton? This is Andre Amador. Obviously, no one's going to attack Dumoulin while he's doing that.
No, I don't think.
And we're not. I mean, we're not on the road to do anyway. But surely that he's back on his bike now. Whatever needed to be done has been done.
I think they will just keep on riding at the pace there, and maybe even knock it back a bit in that group of the big favourites, and they'll all be made aware via the Director Sportive pretty quickly. And we can see here Ruben Plaza still pushing on here, certainly not waiting up anything big time, and he's just finishing his effort here and pulling over, and that's all for him.
Over for Ruben Plaza. Remember, Tom Dumoulin the other day waited for the crash bottom meet of Nairo Quintana. I realise that social media, by the way, is about to go crazy. As long as he's not ill here, as long as he's all right, that hopefully will remain a funny incident at the Giro d'Italia. Now Movistar taking it up. Oh dear. This could be interesting. Oh, it's Zakharin. Well, that is not the done thing. Ilno Zakharin attacking whilst Tom Dumoulin was attending the call of nature. We're not going to hear the last of this, Sean.
No, certainly not. And yeah, it looked like that they were starting to just look at each other and wait about and allow Tom Dumoulin to get back into that group where he was before he stopped. But Zakharin, he has other ideas here. He's definitely pushing on, but is there anybody going to react out of the peloton? It looks like that everybody's just holding off a little bit for the moment, although we can see here Movistar wanting to push on, and we can see Tom Dumoulin. Is that him in the background there?
He's in the cars still. He's in the cars because we just saw him with his car a moment ago. Now Zakharin, he's not exactly being shouted down by everybody at the minute. Nobody looks towards him. I wonder if there will be a gesture there. Well, the caravan's just gone down the commentary box as if he gestured with that horn to say, hang on a minute, that's not the done thing. There is Gorkes Aguirre. The pace is on here. It's been launched by Zakharin. Quintana just radioed in. Pelizzotti just radioed in. There's a look around. And Tom Dumoulin. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. He is a long way back, Sean Kelly.
Yes, he
An
is.
awful. I suggest. I mean, he must be ill. He has to be. He has to be suffering here from something.
Well, again, it's a day when you have to take too much. When you have to take so much liquids in, sometimes you take too much, and that can upset your stomach. And of course, if you have it a bit too cold as well, sometimes it can upset the stomach quickly, and you have to go to the toilet, as they say. And yeah, he's a long ways off there. I thought he was on the tail end of the cars. We can see 10 Dam is waiting up from here. But there's a big gap, and there's riders getting dropped out the rear of this group all the time, and that's going to be the problem, because the Commissar is going to not allow the cars close to this group, and he's going to have to make it all on his own with his teammate.
So first of all, Katusha and Ilno Zakharin, then Movistar, and now Bahrain Merida are going to have some explaining to do, I think.
Well, yeah, it's the one where there were teams riding, of course. We did see Katusha were riding, so I think Zaccarin is going to say, well, we were pushing on the peloton for 15, 20 plus kilometres when Tom Dumoulin had to stop, and the same we could see Ruben Plaza. He continued on, but he did not continue on for long. He was pretty much finished for the day. But the other teams here, we can see Pelazzotti starting to push on here. That is, new power at the front of the group.
Well, an opportunity to put the pink jersey under pressure. And how's he going to react? Whether that was just an awfully timed nature break, or indeed Tom Dumoulin is suffering from some sort of illness or problem. If it's the latter, then we may say come to fruition on the climb as well, because if the pace goes high, they really didn't put him under that much pressure on the Stelvio or the Mortirolo. If he's under pressure here, then of course we'll see the answer, won't we?
Yes, well, this is going to be a difficult one. We can see here he's just, working away after trying to get back in. Tom Dumoulin has just making his own. Now we can see Ten Dam has finished his effort. He has got nothing left, and it's going to be a big effort for him, but he cannot try and throw it down too quickly, because if you do that, well, then you're going to pay big time. You have to just slowly try and get back to that group where he was originally with.
Tom Dumoulin is on his own. Behind the ambulance here, slipping and sliding. It doesn't look good for the pink jersey. 2 minutes and 58 to the race lead. He is losing over a minute on these guys. I remind you, at the start of the day, this man, Tom Dumoulin, 8 Grand Tours into his career, led the Giro d'Italia by 2 minutes and 41 seconds from Nairo Quintana. At the moment, to Quintana, he's losing 1 minute and 20 seconds, half of his advantage. The Umbrail Pass still has 11 kilometres to go to the top. If Dumoulin is as good as he said he had been feeling, interesting to see how much he can limit his losses here. Pelizzotti riding for Nibali in the meantime. Well, all the action of the Giro d'Italia, and one of the most unusual incidents in recent years. We know that necessities have to take place, but not at that stage, right at the foot of the final climb of the day. Poor Tom Dumoulin, who has then been attacked by Ilno Zaccarin, attacked by Bahrain Merida, and Movistar as well have put on the pace. And I know we had the debate last week about the police motorbike, about everything, but is this not different, Sean? The pink jersey has to be respected?
Well, I think it's a little bit unfair. They should have weighted up, and if he's sick, well then, he's going to pay further up the climb. But if it was just a call of nature, well, allow him to have that little bit of time. And surprising that, the riders did not talk to each other and decide to ride for a little bit and allow him to get back into the group he was with and then go on from there. And let's not forget, Tom Dumoulin did knock off the effort when Quintana crashed the other day. So you would expect some respect from the other riders. There will be a lot of debate about this one.
A lot of debate to come. In the meantime, let's concentrate on the mathematics, and it's going backwards for Dumoulin. He's close to 1.5 minutes now behind the Quintana group. And it isn't just Quintana who stands to gain. They all have a common enemy now in this group, don't they? Pelizzotti riding for Nibali, who also wants to take back time. Dumoulin at the moment riding for his Giro d'Italia. And of all the ways he could lose the pink jersey, this would be a travesty. Up the road in the meantime, Anton is drifting 52 seconds behind. Mikel Landa up the road, Steven Kruiswijk with him. Well, it's hard to compute what's happening here. Such is the unusual nature of the incident. Such is the lack of expectation of something like this happening. The Giro d'Italia, certainly this particular pink jersey today, is being played out by something that is unheard of in modern cycling, at least.
Yes, well, I don't think we've ever seen that in a big tour. I've seen it myself in some races, one-day races, of course, but in a situation with the race leader at such a late stage in the of the day, surprising to see that. And we can see here, Movistar are, not letting up at all. Nobody is really up. The general classification, when you look at Quintana, you look at Pino's the one who hasn't, made any move, but Nibali, his teammate, of course, Pelazzotti has been pushing on. Zakarin was the first one to push ahead. And when you look at the general classification, the second down to Zakarin, who was 5th, even Volko Mollema, they're all very close. So they're all going to, get into a position now where to go for the win in this Giro between them if Tom Dumoulin does not manage to make his way back, and it doesn't look like he's making any inroads at the moment.
Inside the final 30 kilometres, up the hairpin bends of the Umbrailpass, which is being taken on for the first time in the Giro d'Italia. It's not just the climb though, we have the descent as well. A few tunnels included there. The last 19 kilometres are downhill. And Movistar have pulled back André Amador to work for Nairo Quintana. They've seen that Dumoulin is in trouble and they're trying to take the bull by the horns now. All in to try and bury the Dutchman. Remember, it's not just about getting the advantage and deficit in their case back. It's about building an advantage also for the final day time trial. Dumoulin at the minute has managed to make sure the gap isn't shifting. He's not closing it, but it's at 1.5 minutes. How's he looking, do you, Sean? I know it's hard to tell, but how's he looking?
Well, he doesn't look great at the moment, and 1.5 minutes when you see the powers up front, and Amador here now is starting to push on. That is the problem, because there's so many of the general classification men with teammates here. Nibali also have a teammate in this group, and that is going to be the problem for Dumoulin. To limit the losses, it's going to be a real difficult one for him. And for me, he doesn't look majorly uncomfortable, and yeah, it's going to be a complicated one for him to keep at a distance where in the time trial. And let's not forget, today is only the first day of many difficult stages to come, and when you make this big effort today on your own, and even though it's on a climb, still with 28 kilometres to go, when you're out there on your own, it's so difficult. And we can see here he is struggling majorly.
Well, just behind him, Gorka Zaguirre on the wheel of Tom Dumoulin. He slipped back from the leading group. Dumoulin at the moment at 1 minute and 20 seconds from Quintana, so he's pulled 10 back. Is Tom Dumoulin about to be dethroned as the leader of the Giro d'Italia? It's not beyond the realms of possibility. He had a 2 minutes and 41 second lead today. Quintana took 6 bonus seconds on the day that Dumoulin waited for him when he crashed, and as Herbie Green tweeted us to say, Quintana crashes, Dumoulin waits, Dumoulin has to stop, Movistar attacks. Shake of the head there, not a happy man. No doubt that he's angry. We saw signs of nervousness earlier on today. We don't know, this could be something that happened on the rest day. This could be something that's carried over from yesterday. They might have known that he was ill. Or this could be something that's just happened now. Dumoulin said he's been climbing better than ever before. And the big headline in the paper this morning was, "Nobody scares me." The minute, it's not nobody, should be nothing. Because it's an incident beyond the control of the race that has put him in the position he's in now. And it's allowed Franco Pelizzotti to start setting the pace. It's allowed Andrea Amador to come and do the same for their respective leaders. Pelizzotti for Nibali, who's third wheel in the red jersey. Amador for Quintana, who's on the wheel in fourth position as we saw it, just behind Nibali. Igor Anton will be the next to be caught. Signs of encouragement for Dumoulin for now, Sean, in that he's managed to get almost 15 seconds back. That's limiting the losses now, but we remember there's been no big attacks from any of the leaders from this group, so it's not as if he's on the way to a full recovery.
No, I think, and we can see there, the ones who are doing the riding, they're going to ride until they have nothing left, and they're just going to empty the tank for their teammates. And then we should see some of the leaders of that team pushing on then, and that is going to be the problem for Dumoulin. There's so much rider power out front, but he's working quite okay at it. And when you look at the times, that was the real teller, because when you look at Dumoulin, he looked like that he was pulling faces there a moment ago, but still he is working away quite well, and 28.1 to go, and Now this is the top of this one is what 19.5 kilometres to the finish. So he has still time-wise he can do it, but has he got enough? It's going to be a big one to close this gap down. But he could limit his losses, as you say.
At the moment, the time checks are looking good for him. Very good, in fact, as he gets another couple of seconds back. But remember, there's only one rider setting the pace on the front here. It's basically Pelizzotti against Dumoulin. Igor Anton, the next to be caught. Well, we're never short of a talking point or two on the Giro d'Italia. Never. And cycling sometimes does this to itself. We've had beauty, splendor, excitement all day. At the minute, if you're being devil's advocate and you want to ask a question, you've no shortage of questions to ask either, because should people have waited for Tom Dumoulin? That will be the question. Whatever happens today, we're going to see overnight. And I'm sure there are plenty of different responses. Here is the pink jersey at the minute. Whatever's happened has happened for the moment. He needs to carry on riding, and it's as if Movistar are trolling him here a little, because Izagirre's gone back and sat right on his wheel. Colombian fans on the side in pink. Will it be their man in pink at the end of the day? There is Nairo Quintana, fourth wheel in this formation. It's Pelizzotti, the man from the northeast of Italy, setting the pace for the Italian hero from the far southwest in Sicily. Vincenzo Nibali, the defending champion. Nairo Quintana just on the radio there. 27.5 to go. Pelizzotti and Amador working together now. And they are putting the pink jersey in trouble, who is slipping and sliding. Since the last time check, Dumoulin's lost another 10 seconds. It was looking better for the Dutchman, but there's a long way to go in this climb. And the bad thing about this climb is the gradient is steadily horrific. It's consistent at around 9%. And after a day when we've been up the Mortirolo, albeit from the, in inverted commas, easier side, and the mighty Stelvio, again we head above 2,000 metres. Well, Inno Zakarin, who launched that attack that was then continued by Bahrain and Movistar. The chaos of the situation, I think, will allow the teams to probably point the finger at each other and say, well, we were just following on, it had been launched. Dumoulin slipping to 2:38 behind the break. 1:20 now behind Quintana, and once more, the fact that he's isolated, lack of teammates, isn't good for him. 10 down didn't last too long for him. What a ride again from Andrea Amador. Winner corner still there for Quintana, again on the radio. That's twice in the last 500 metres, Sean. Maybe he's being told to wait, maybe he's being told to go. Still too early for him, or is this situation so good they should just keep riding?
Well, I think we can see Amador is starting to suffer, but again, it's a bit to go on this climb, and he's going to be allowed to ride as far as possible, and he can just, turn the pedals no more, and he just have to keep working on it. And then we can see Pelizzotti is also there, of course, and he is going to ride, and it's going to be an interesting one from the big favourites there, the Quintana, Thibaut Pinot, Nibali, Zakarin, Molema, all of those. Who will be the first one to attack here of this group?
Amador and Pelizzotti. Now, we just had a tweet regarding the incident, the wait or not incident. Sean Yates, the former director sportif at Team Sky, of course, former British champion, absolute super rider back in the day. He's just tweeted to say, at Eurosport_UK, they should have all pulled over instantly, and then he would have got straight back on, and the race could continue properly.
Yes, well, that is that would be the perfect way. Unfortunately, some of the riders and director sportives as well, and the director sportives have a big call on it because they can see everything is passing.
Maybe the riders didn't know why he dropped back. They could have thought he was dropped, no?
Well, I think they would be able to, relay to the director sportive very quickly and get information. But it's the director sportive in the car. He has full view. They all see that what happened for Tom Dumoulin. They could have ordered their riders immediately, and of course, Sean Yates, being a director of sportive himself and a rider for many years, I think that would have been definitely the call. Of this one, I think there would be a lot of discussion going about it, and I think yes, it's a bit unfair the way they went about it, the general classification men and their team.
Yeah, and because there was not one single team really getting together at the front, a lot of finger pointing could probably be allowed, because they can say, well, Ino Zakarin started it, and then Bahrain Merida pushed on, now Movistar are riding. It's a domino chain of events, isn't it? And one little spot can set it off. It's difficult to stop. This is Dumoulin in the meantime. He's gaining again. Little bit of a tug of war here. He's 1 minute and 15 behind Quintana and the rest. In the meantime, Dumoulin 2 minutes 24 from these three who are leading the race. And amid all the drama, it's easy to forget what a good ride Kruijswijk, Landa and Hurt are doing. 300 metres between the front of the race and the peloton, 800 metres back to the Maglia Rosa. In terms of the stage win, Sean, the minute, where would you put your money? From this second group on the road? With the favourites, of course, Quintana, Nibali, everybody?
Well, it's a difficult one because we're 25.9 kilometres to go, and this one tops out at 19.5. So there is still a lot to do here on this climb, and if the general classification riders, some of them really want to push on, well then the advantage might not be enough, but it's looking good for the three leaders out front. But again, how much have they got left? Because they've been out there all day, and this day has been a real test for them, a real killer day. So they could start, as they get further up the climb, they could start tiring big time.
And we've still yet to have a favourites attack from the bunch as well. If that happens and people start to follow, you imagine the time gap could come down fairly quickly. We shall see. You can just see first little camera shot that allowed us to appreciate how steep this road is on that last shot. Cars being held up at the front. Dumoulin, Izagirre, and the winner of the stage to Mount Etna, Jan Polans. Now Vincenzo Nibali on the right-hand side. Nairo Quintana just behind him. Domenico Pozzovivo in the blue, white and brown. And Bauke Mollema in the group as well. Ino Zakarin was there. .103 between the group on the bottom left of your screen here on the Umbrailpass. And those just approaching the centre now. The rest of the favourites minus Dumoulin. And Dumoulin, well, he's gaining again. He's getting better and better on this climb. 1:10 now from Quintana. Mikel Landa Meana goes on the attack. He's wanted this stage since the start of the day, and at the moment he's away in the search for the Trofeo Torriani for the winner of the stage. He's taken Cima Coppi, and Mikel Landani, as he's nicknamed, holding on to the drops in the style of Marco Pantani there, riding away from Jan Hurt, and the first to really crack is Steven Kruijswijk.
Yes, and we can see Kruijswijk there, just working away at it. But again, it's still quite a bit to the top here. Well over 5 kilometres still to go. And is Kruijswijk, is he finished? Is he really after burning all his energy? We have to wait and see. And we can see Landa wants to push on because he knows the group is coming up quickly, just over a minute at the moment. So that is the urgency. He has to go a bit further out than he would like to.
Now, the onus is on Movistar to work, you would think, at the front. Now, they have the biggest numbers as Franco Pellizotti has been dropped. It's now down to Andrea Amador. Second wheel, Quintana waits. Anacona has gone from this group. Adam Yates is still there on the back. Davide Formolo is there. Quintana, here we go, Nibali to attack, Quintana to follow. As soon as Amador was done for the day, Nibali, Quintana, Pozzovivo and Ilno Zaccarin. Cataldo dropped, Youngles goes pop out of the back as well, and Thibaut Pinot is a long way to the front here. Here he is making his move, Sean, in the white. I think he's looking all right, maybe just caught out of position. Adam Yates towards the back, it's Davide Formol in the green who has to close the gap. So first casualty from this group is Bob Youngles. It's been a good ride from him so far today, survived.
Yes, well, he has survived well, and we know Youngles, of course, he doesn't like that sudden acceleration. He's just a powerful rider, so he's going to try and keep working at it, and we could see him getting back into this group again, as we can see. Volker Mollema, Thibaut Pinot, Adam Yates also just losing a bit of ground here, but getting back in. And Quintana, you could see the moment Nibali put in the attack, Quintana over the top and said, well, anything you can do, I can do also.
Well, Dumoulin, after getting to within a minute of Quintana and company, desperately goes for a gel as it's another acceleration from Nibali out wide. A little look around, there goes Quintana on the inside. And Quintana pushing on, another gap opened up, only Pozzovivo can follow here. Only Domenico Pozzovivo able to follow. Ilno Zaccarin, and it's looking like another jour sans maybe for Thibaut Pinot. Couldn't cope with the immediate acceleration. We're still 5 kilometres from the top of this climb. Bit of a tailwind here as well. So, Vincenzo Nibali in the red, Nairo Quintana in the navy, and just behind them, the small figure of Domenico Pozzovivo in the white, brown and blue. Zaccarin looked strong a couple of times. Remember, it was his first attack at the start of the day, and he's making his way across as well. Plenty of support for Davide Formol on the road, though. Vai Roccia, it's his nickname. As Nibali looks around into the eyes of Quintana, who does not even move, fully focused on the road in front of him. It's Quintana on the pedals again to go. The minute the gaps to Dumoulin aren't changing too dramatically. We're talking a minute and 7 seconds right now. As it stands, Tom Dumoulin would still be the leader of the Giro d'Italia. His lead, however, would be cut to 1 minute and 30 seconds. But there's a long way to go yet. All the talking points to come overnight. Now, second group here with Thibaut Pinot leading on the left-hand side in the white as we go back to a very lonely-looking Maglia Rosa. If you're just joining us, a little recap. Tom Dumoulin had to stop to answer the call of nature on the side of the road. It was a rather dramatic one. And there was an attack by Ilno Zaccarin shortly after. That was then followed by Bahrain. That was then followed by Movistar, who continued to put the pace on up this climb. Dumoulin has paced himself back from 1.5 minutes down, but he's losing time again now, Sean, wants these favourites to attack. In the meantime, Landa is keeping his own advantage, the leader of the race, to 1 minute and 3.
Yes, well, we can see there the favourites that are in the front, Quintana, Nibali, Pozzovivo, Zaccarin has made it back in. They're just looking at each other, and we could see there Nibali looking into the face of Quintana. Nobody wanted to commit and to give it their 100% here, and they're still almost 5 kilometres to the top. It's a long ways, and I think they're all afraid of each other. If you commit here and start pushing on, well, then you risk to be attacked by the other ones. And we can see Nibali there just right in the front, giving the elbow flick to get the others to come round him. And it'll be interesting now to see, will they start sharing the pace setting here, all four.
Zaccarin, Nibali, Pozzovivo, Amador has been dropped. It's now Quintana. Dumoulin, 5th group on the road. He's now 1 minute 15 seconds from Nairo Quintana, defending his advantage very well. He's caught Pelizzotti now. Dumoulin must be absolutely fuming. He's got plenty of built-up aggression to use. It's whether he has the legs and how his body is feeling. If he really is ill, and it wasn't just a very poorly timed stop, then he's surviving pretty well so far. There is Mikel Landa, and this is the gap now. He's open on Jan Hurt. Landa with a ride for home there. Steven Kruiswijk, despite the fact that he was extremely courageous to take a big risk today, he's slipping too. Zaccarin, Nibali, Pozzovivo and Quintana. And they've opened up a good 20 seconds on those other favourites behind. Bob Jungels, Thibaut Pinot, Bauke Mollema, all suffering after a hellish day in some of the most mighty mountains in the Alps. Adam Yates is there, as is Davide Formolo. Further down the roads, the pink jersey, Tom Dumoulin. Whatever happened before, Sean, he's dealing with this very well so far.
Yes, well, he is dealing really well, you know, considering he's been alone for a long time and he's still just working away at it there and not losing anything major and fighting bravely. And it'll be interesting to see if he can keep this up. We can see up front the four leaders are starting to work together, but they are not, you know, pushing on majorly for the moment. And Tom Dumoulin could, you know, turn out at the end of the day, maybe holding on to the pink jersey if he can really, you know, put in a big effort in the final number of kilometres to the top of this climb and then get onto the descent. Of course, that's another thing on your own, but he's a good descender. He's, you know, he's not going to lose a huge amount unless he is, you know, really under pressure here and starting to suffer. You can lose a bit more, but he's looking good still there, considering he's chasing all alone for a long time now.
Well, this is the easiest part of the climb now. It kicks up after this again. Chasing group on the 6 to 7% slope, then it kicks up to 10% again now. Sebastian Reichenbach is there for Tom Dumoulin. Dumoulin going at such a rate. Reichenbach will attempt to hold the wheel for a moment. Another beautiful climb. We've been treated to... It's almost been like an Attenborough documentary, this today. Stunning. Mikel Landa. Twice a winner of stages on the Giro d'Italia 2 seasons ago. And you can see the pain etched onto his face here. He's keeping his gap. He's on the 9.2% section. Still a good 3 kilometres to go to the end of the climb. .107. If anything, he's increased his lead by a couple of seconds to Quintana and the rest. He can look down at the hairpins. Surveyed the damage he's done. Now Zaccarin here in the red for Katusha Alpecin. Zaccarin started the day in 5th position, 4 minutes 24 down. He stands to gain. Quintana stands to gain in time. At the minute, doesn't stand to take the Maglia Rosa. Remember, he was 2 minutes and 41 down from Dumoulin. Nibali in the red and navy there from Bahrain, reigning champion of the Giro d'Italia. Nibali began the day riding for Bahrain Merida at 3 minutes 40 in 4th position. Domenico Pozzovivo stands to gain more than most. He started the day in 7th at 4 minutes 59. This man stands to lose. Oh, and he's a minute and a half behind now. Is he tiring? It certainly would be understandable. Remember, there's all the stress as well. I guess that sometimes that can help, Sean, if you get the little bit of adrenaline flowing and everything. But it's a long old climb to keep that going. It is a long climb, and yeah, he's been a long time on his own, and we can see him there, you know, still looking okay. We can see the groups here. This group of Quintana, Nibali, Pozzovivo and Zaccarin. It looks like that Bob Jungels is working quite well there. He has him inside and he's about, you know, 15, 17 seconds down. And yeah, Tom Dumoulin, it looked like a long way down the climb he was going to lose a stack of time, but you know, he's defending very well. Virtual standings are as this, with Dumoulin, who would lead the Giro d'Italia by 1 minute and 8. Pinot would be 3rd at 2:05. Nibali would just be 2 seconds further back in 4th at 2:07. Zaccarin 5th at 2:51. Squishing together at the gaps at the top of the overall general classification. For reasons that we haven't always enjoyed or liked, this Giro d'Italia has been enthralling from start until now so far. And the mountains don't end here. Okay, it's the Queen stage, but we've got another mountain stage to Canazei tomorrow. Then we go to Ortisei, the Dolomite day. And it continues all the way through. Monte Grappa on Saturday, time trial Sunday. We're going to be glued to this for the next 6 days. Approaching the top of the climb, approaching the final 20 kilometres. Dumoulin has Cataldo with him now. It's in these two's interest to work together, but what is left? It's clear that Dumoulin is starting to lose time more dramatically, Sean. He's at 140 from Quintana and the rest, as they themselves increase the pace.
Yes, well, we can see, you know, they are pulling together, they're working together, sharing the pace in the front. We can see Quintana there, he's on the front for the moment. He rides 150 metres, then Nibali takes over. On a climb, yeah, the drafting is not as advantageous as it is on the flat when you're going at a very fast pace, but still, you know, it's still an advantage. And Tom Dumoulin, he's been riding and catching riders on the climb, but they have only been sitting in his slipstream, and they're giving him no help whatsoever. And it's not surprising that he's starting to lose a bit, and we can see here still quite a bit for Tom Dumoulin to get to the top, because 21.5, and that is for Landa out in front, and the rest are further down. So the distance to the top for for Tom Dumoulin is quite a bit further back down the mountain.
Wow. As one of our viewers has just suggested, is this the day where professionalism fully takes over any sort of semblance of respect for a leader's jersey in a Grand Tour? Is cycling changing? One of these things always happen. It'll come out in the wash over the night anyway. Nothing to detract so far from this man's ride. He's tiring though, and they're gaining behind. 55 seconds for Mikel Landa, who's 2 kilometres from the top of the Umbrailpass. Sky's plan is one that has worked so far today. 4 men in the breakaway. He's trying to will himself on there, nodding away, Mikel Landa. They can see the next man from the break up ahead. Jan Hurt is there. Nibali just with another acceleration. Again, Vincenzo Nibali's looking good here. Again, I think he's been riding a better Giro d'Italia than what results so far have suggested. Looking a lot better than this time last year. And the rivals are more difficult. And there is plenty of graffiti on the side of the road for him, and even an inflatable shark there. Russian fans for Inu Zakharin. The man from Tatarstan has national support. No shortage of Colombian fans for Nairo Quintana either. Remember, we're on stage 16 and Italy still hasn't had a stage win. Has had nothing to cheer about in this Giro d'Italia so far. At the minute, it stands to be another Basque win. Pozzovivo Nibali could provide something behind if there is a move towards the end of the climb here or on the descent. At the minute, it's looking okay for Landa. And for Dumoulin, we're talking 1 minute 45 seconds down now. It's getting nervously close to just less than a 1 minute advantage for Tom Dumoulin. Sean, can you see a situation where Dumoulin loses the jersey here today?
Well, it could very well happen, and we can see there in the last number of kilometres it's starting to slip away from him. He was fighting bravely, and we can see there, you know, there's quite a bit of wind as well. It's turning a lot, so there is times where you're going to have a headwind on this climb, and that is a real killer when you're alone for so long on this final climb of the day after a real difficult day into the, you know, the final week, a 3-week race. All that, you know, takes its toll, and any little bit of help from other riders, and that's what the 4-5 leaders at the moment we have. That's the advantage. Like, they have been just, you know, sharing the pace setting, and that little bit of recovery time, it means a lot, and advantage is just growing for the other general classification, and unfortunately for Dumoulin, just losing second by second at the moment.
It's hard on Dumoulin, very, very hard. We're seeing the very best right away. There is Mikel Landa, rider from the Spanish Basque Country. He feels extremely Basque. He's got the Basque Ikurriña, the flag, on his sleeve. In the meantime, the man from Boyacá in Colombia. And there is Mikel Landa. A little look down. Just had a message from our colleague Magnus Begstedt, who reminds us about the altitude as well, Sean. Above 2,000 metres again. Magnus saying it affects bigger, taller riders. That might play into things, especially for Dumoulin, the longer the stage goes on here. And the higher up he gets. And he's losing time, almost 2 minutes down on the road. Remember his lead before today, 2:41. .3 kilometres to go. And a good 30 seconds between the two groups of favourites as well, as Jan Hurt is a passenger on this group with Quintana, Pozzovivo, Zaccarin and Nibali, as Nibali goes! Vincenzo Nibali! And that looks like it's going to cook Zaccarin, fighting to keep going, and Nibali good enough to keep pushing on for now. Quintana's the only man who can get up to him any close and close the wheel. Quintana now, what does he do? First of all, he sits on. Nibali feeling good enough to have a bite. And you cannot fault this man's courage here. Vincenzo Nibali approaching the top of the Umbrailpass. So Nibali, this is the moment he went, right from the back of the group. Good strong dart, Sean. Took a while even for Quintana to get on the wheel.
Yes, it was a big attack there. We could see Quintana. He did make a big effort to get back in there, and Nibali is going to, really push on here. Will they be able to hold off the other ones? Zaccarin, of course, is fighting there, as we can see. Landa, the advantage coming down, 34 seconds at the moment. Has come down rapidly with the attack of Nibali.
Nibali and Quintana putting Landa's possible stage win in danger. 500 metres to go to the top of the climb. More King of the Manage points on offer as well, and whatever Mikel Landa can get in terms of stage win, he's certainly up there in the fight for the King of the Manage jersey. Little quick of a look and a couple of words exchanged between Nibali and Quintana. They have a few seconds on Zaccarin in the red, Pozzovivo in the white behind. Remember, to Dumoulin, it's over 2 minutes now. 2 minutes the gap, and poor Tom Dumoulin, 2 minutes further down on the road, he is getting tired, extremely tired as he comes here. There's no lack of fight or courage though. He will have a lot of fans, a huge amount of sympathy out there. Of course, it's not the first time that it's happened, but is it becoming a more common occurrence? Certainly in these circumstances. It doesn't happen every day. Less than 20 kilometres to go. This is the third group on the road with Formolo, Yates, Kruiswijk. And look at Nibali, really motoring on. Really trying to put the nail in the coffin of those behind. Looks around again. Quintana not giving him a real turn. And they're 15 seconds from Landa now. Landa to come over the climb. He'll take the King of the Manage points, but Sean Kelly with just 14 seconds. Is it going to be enough to take the stage?
Well, it's going to be a very difficult for Landa, considering he's been out there for so long. He suffered a lot in the last number of kilometres, and you can see the way he's getting to the top of this one. When you look at Nibali, Quintana, especially Nibali, you can see there's fight left in him, and of course this descent as well, 19.5 kilometres down, and we know how Nibali can do that. But Zaccarin fighting bravely to get back in, with Pozzovivo also, is just starting to get back here, but 10 seconds at the moment. It's going to be very difficult for the leader on the road.
Well, drama, entertainment, excitement, even a whiff of scandal maybe today. Tom Dumoulin dropped, and he's not far away off losing the pink jersey now. Remember, he led by 2:41 today. He leads on the road by 2:20. Okay, out there, in chase, in pursuit of Mikel Landa, we have Nairo Quintana, Vincenzo Nibali. They're the 2014 and the winner, and the defending champion, respectively. Inno Zaccarin, who crashed out within the top 5 last year, and Domenico Pozzovivo. Chasing group at 116 now. And these guys are going to slip down in the top 10. Well, the strength of feeling from a lot of you watching on at home is pretty strong. Most not fans of the episode that we've seen. Tell you what, there's no shortage of drama though. Nibali smells that first Italian stage win, doesn't he?
Well, certainly on the descent, he's the one who is the real specialist, and he can go down so fast, but with comfort as well, and that is so easy to do. And we can see there, Pozzovivo, he was just about back in there, but not able to stay with the pace there, and looks to be the one who was losing the steering group.
Oh, he was cracking. He was cracking. Really, really having a bad moment there. He's close to the top now. 50 meters to the top. 10, Dumoulin is over the top. He is holding on to the pink jersey extremely, extremely weakly. He'd have an advantage of 20 seconds as it stands. Vincenzo Nibali, 7 seconds behind Mikel Landa, and we're on the descent. 16.5 kilometres to go. It's almost all downhill here, and the riders have to have their wits about them. Descent that includes a few tunnels as well. And this is Tom Dumoulin in the pink. A lot of people around us open-mouthed about what happened today, Sean. We had this first half of the stage where all the racing was on, and then we had this affair out of nowhere. Reminiscent a little, but I think much more dramatic than Laurent Jalabert in 2000. This is a crucial start of the stage, and of course, right at the foot of the final climb, eh?
Yes, well, I think there will be a lot of talk about it, and I feel that Tom Dumoulin, he got an unfair deal there. It would have been so easy, as we mentioned, that the big favourites in the teams, they could have knocked it off for a moment, allow him to get back onto the group that was in on the tail end of it at least, and then take up the racing from there. But yeah, that is bike racing, and we're going to have this ongoing discussion because Katusha are going to say, well, we were riding for many kilometres in the valley. So yeah, where do you start? And it's a really difficult one. It's a debate that there's no real solid answer to.
Yeah, it's not cut and dry, and we do admit, although at the minute we do tend to feel very, very sorry for Tom Dumoulin. It is extremely nuanced, extremely nuanced. .5 kilometres to go. 8 seconds of an advantage for Mikel Landa, who's desperately trying to hold on. Vincenzo Nibali, as you would expect, is driving the descent behind. Nairo Quintana is there as well. As it stands, Tom Dumoulin will be holding on to the pink jersey only just. And if he can keep this gap, his chances of victory at the Giro d'Italia are not over. Remember, with the time trial still to come, it is his rivals who need a buffer on him. Let's not forget that at all. But we are not denying that it is hugely dramatic. Gaps are starting to open up behind. And look, Mikel Landa is almost caught. They're on the same stretch of road, and we have the first opportunity for a while maybe for an Italian stage win. Stage 16. They've never gone this long without that victory. And Nibali is going away. Quintana trying his best to follow, and in following, a gap is opening up to Pozzovivo. It was 7 seconds, it says 6 seconds. It feels much less here. That's been an amazing exploit by Mikel Landa in the meantime. Whatever happens. Nipoli's opening up little bits of road. Quintana, no slats going down either. He's showing that. He's following all of Nibali's lines very well.
Well, he has to try and keep Nibali inside, but we can see Nibali is just pulling away gradually, and he's such a great descender, and we can see he's really using that talent to the full now and pushing on. And let's not forget as well, there's the bonuses here as well, which Quintana will be pushing on for. But all eyes on this man here, the pink jersey, Tom Dumoulin. How well can he descend? We did see there that he was still in pink jersey situation, but can he make a descent? Because the way Nibali is going down here, he has to lose a bit more time.
And the first little suggestion of him getting a little bit further away from Nairo Quintana, the way he came out of that hairpin, pedalled out at furious speed. Dumoulin, in the meantime, is gaining time back. Dumoulin has 10 seconds back on what he lost at the top of the mountain. Oh, when the Giro organisers designed this stage, they wanted drama, they wanted beauty, they wanted excitement. They're getting lots and in huge doses. Nibali's almost on the wheel now. Vincenzo Nibali knows this climb, knows this descent. And the Umbrail Pass, both up and down, is proving decisive on today's stage at least. And remember, Nibali started the day at 3 minutes and 40 down. He stands to gain not only a possible stage, but also in the fight for pink as well. This could be the kickstart to his own Giro d'Italia challenge. Oh, well, so close there. So close, Nibali. From the angle we were shown, it looked as if he was going off.
Yes, well, he did get a slide there, and amazing. We can see here the width road now again. Funny hop forward. My God, this is scary stuff.
Wow. I'm holding onto the edge of my seat here in the commentary box. This is one for the history books. 11.5 kilometres to go. We've had all the previous drama, but this is adding to it now. Vincenzo Nibali takes the lead on the road. It almost ended in tears a moment before this. Up, over we go. Straight past Landa and straight down the mountain. 1 minute and 20 on Mollema, Pinot and company. So Nibali stands to gain a lot in that respect already. For Tom Dumoulin, it's 2 minutes and 14 he's getting back in his respect. He started today at 3:40. That's a very big chunk of that advantage to go. Mikel Landa is the intruder in this, if you like. He's been out the front all day long, and you have to feel for him as well. There is Nairo Quintana dealing with this fairly well too. Into one of the many tunnels on this descent from the Umbrail Pass, and poor Steven Kruiswijk has been so courageous today, coming up to that same little section of wet road. Adam Yates is here, Formolo, Pinot, Youngles, Mollema. This is the group at 1 minute and 20. For now, the excitement subsides, but it could come at any moment. Tom Dumoulin descending pretty well himself at the minute. That balance between accelerating out of those curves, when to apply the brakes, the lines you take, it's not just skill, it's also courage, intelligence, mind, lots of things at play, Sean. It's absolutely fascinating watching these guys.
Yes, and there's also freshness, how you're physically feeling as well is important to read, further down the road going into the corner, how tight it is. And, you just have to take a line right, but the wet conditions, that is, a danger one, because when you get that wet condition in the corner, you have to be really careful. You can't slide out so quickly. We did see Nibali there. He took a big slide and looked like he was going down, but his bike handling as well just got him out of it. And now the problem for Nibali, of course, he have Mikel Landa in his wheel, and he's just going to tag on there and follow. But Nibali has no choice here. He has just to keep going, and as we can see Nibali again,
a little misjudgment. He's putting everything on the line here.
Well, when you're really pushing like this, he had to stay on the brakes a little bit too long, and when you do that and you start to go take your corner, well, you can't slide out, and that was the problem there for Nibali, but he's pushing it to the limit here. But when you have, you know, someone in your wheel, it's a little bit of a distraction, but again, Nibali had just to focus what's out ahead.
And remember, for a huge part of this descent, they're descending the same section of road that they came up when they climbed the Stelvio. This is this dodgy moment again for Vincenzo Nibali. Left, right, oops. And that gold-plated bike of his almost ended up on the ground again. He's with Landa here. Pozzovivo is behind in the second group with Nairo Quintana on his wheel, or at least attempting to hold it. Oh, he's drifted a bit further back than that, in fact. He just needs to keep his head, does Pozzovivo here, because he stands to gain a lot, doesn't he, from 7th place at the start of the day?
Yes, well, he certainly does, has to keep his head and just keep his focus, and he can see out in front. He has Quintana. He has him in view a little bit, but for a small lightweight like Pozzovivo, he's doing very well, because the way Nibali's been going down on the last 7-8 kilometres plus, he's doing well to, you know, to keep at the position he's in.
Tom Dumoulin, bar any problem on the descent, is doing enough to stay in the Maglia Rosa. Now this is the part that they'd certainly already climbed earlier in the day. Again, a little correction from Nibali. Sprints out, Landa holding on to his wheel. Remember, the stage wind's still in the air, but the overall picture is looking much better for Nibali. Quintana following close quarters behind. I wonder what the gap is on the road between these two now. You'd say it's 10 seconds, wouldn't you, at least?
Well, it's difficult. We haven't really seen the overhead shot of where Quintana is at the moment, but I would say 10-12 seconds will be the max.
Vincenzo Nibali at the front in the red. Still wants a little bit of energy here. Of course, it's not just the legs that take the calories out of you. Needs to keep his head too, as Nairo Quintana pedals on for dear life. A terrifying, dramatic descent of the Stelvio. Nibali enough to pedal on. Yep, there is Quintana behind. I'm calling that as 10 seconds. 6.7 kilometres to go once we get back to Bormio. As a little rise towards the line. We've all seen the finish, remember. Exhilarating, this. There is the Colombian winner in 2014 of this race. Controversial on that day on the Stelvio, as he went away and took time when it would supposedly be neutralised. Questions not just around him, also this man today. Ilnur Zakarin. This is Steven Kruiswijk. Everybody's on the edge now. Everybody's in difficulty. This is theatre at its very best. They've dragged out 1:30 on the group that you just saw a minute ago on your screen. So Landa sharing on the pace. Of course, Landa wants a stage win. He keeps Nibali there, then there's only one rival to beat, not Quintana as well. Here comes Vincenzo Nibali on the right-hand side. Remember, these two former teammates as well. Let's not forget this. They know each other very well, don't they?
Yes, of course. Yes, with Astana, two teammates there of the past, and I think Landa maybe might be that little bit faster in two-up sprints, but again, with the difficulty we've had, Landa being out there, and you know, to keep ahead of Quintana, it keeps things a little bit more complicated, because if you come to the sprints and with a two-man, we are certainly in a better situation with three.
We are approaching the final 5 kilometres of an enthralling stage, and Tom Dumoulin, on the day that the Giro d'Italia touched the sky on the Stelvio, is seeing his pink jersey challenge descend into hell. Another little correction there, and he trails by exactly the amount he leads now. 2 minutes and 41, it grows again. What is left in the tank as it stands? Nairo Quintana will be going into the pink jersey.
Well, of course, Quintana has that 10 second to make up on Nibali, so there is that 10 second there. So it's going to be very tight, as we can see there. But amazingly, Tom Dumoulin, he's done a magnificent descent, considering he's been on the climb all on his own. and on the descent all alone, he's still, you know, putting in a real strong performance.
Well, many of you at home clamouring the words of respect for the Maglia Rosa. What's done is done now. We'll hear about it all overnight. The Giro will be as dramatic as ever as it is each year. But at the moment, a stage win is up for grabs, and maybe even a new pink jersey. As it stands with these time gaps, Dumoulin, if he can't recover, is about to lose pink. Inu Zakarin. You have to say, whatever happens, the stop by the side of the road is the reason, because the way he rode up the climb was nothing short of fantastic on his own.
Yes, well, I think from the moment he stopped, the ride has been fantastic, and it's going to be a real tight one, as you said, with the bonuses on the finish line for the first three riders, and of course Quintana in position 3 at the moment out on the road. It's going to be a matter of seconds who is going to be a leader at the end of the stage.
Mikel Landa alongside Vincenzo Nibali. Vincenzo Nibali, remember, starting the day at 3 minutes 40. So no suggestion that he could go into the Maglia Rosa at the moment. But he's still pulling out time on Quintana. Quintana running a very cool, good race here. At the end of the day, he could have the jersey. Inu Zakarin stands to gain quite a bit of time as well. In what has been a beautiful natural setting, Tom Dumoulin will not want to remember this particular visit to the Alps. He'd ridden the perfect Giro d'Italia until now. Into the town of Bormio. The last time we were here in 2004, Damiano Cunego was the winner. He took the race overall. But big names such as Coppi, Gall, Brökink and Simoni have also won here. Less than 2 kilometres to go. Mikel Landa added his name to the list of huge riders who have won the Cima Coppi on the Stelvio. Can he take the Trofeo Torriani and the stage win as well? Or is it going to be a first Italian win? The drama has not stopped boiling all day. These are really good, wide, brand new roads now. 1.5 kilometres to go. Some technical turns in the approach to the line, which we saw earlier on today. Around 100 kilometres ago, when the loop up the Stelvio into Switzerland, up the Umbrail Pass started, before we got all of that unexpected drama. Flamme Rouge, 1 kilometre remains on stage 16 of the Giro from Rovetta to Bormio. 222 kilometres in total. 5,500 metres of elevation gain. We've had the Mortirolo, we've had the Stelvio, we've had the Umbrailpass, and now we have a question of just a few hundred metres and a sprint for a stage win. It's Mikel Landa. His chance is destroyed by the police motorbike down on Blockhouse. Vincenzo Nibali, the reigning champion, looking to gain time in the overall, looking to take Italy's first stage win. 10, 6 and 4 bonus seconds available on the line as well, which are going to be good too for Nairo Quintana, who we expect to finish third here. The stage win, though, between these two. Landa on the left in the black. 2 Giro stage wins already to his name. Both done it, the shark has bitten, and after 16 days of drought, Italy have their stage win. Nibali takes it. His defence is alive, the Giro is alive, and Nairo Quintana could well move into the pink jersey. We couldn't have asked for a more dramatic day. It hasn't all happened for the right reasons, as Pozzovivo finishes 4th, but my oh my, will we be talking about this stage for years and years to come. And Sean Kelly, as Inu Zakarin comes across 5th. The wait is on to see if we have a new leader. But wow, what a win for Vincenzo Nibali.
Well, yes, what a final descent and what a day's racing, and eventually, as
here's Bauke Mollema. Oh, big time loss from Mollema, Youngles and Pinot. 1:30 down. Where's the pink jersey? A time trial over the final 500 metres to keep pink. Remember, 2 minutes 41 seconds was his lead over Quintana. Quintana's picked up 4 bonus seconds, so call it 2:37. And Tom Dumoulin has a chance now, has a chance to hold on to pink. rides around the final corner. 150 to go. Whatever happens, this has been heroic. This has been brilliant for a man who has every right to feel hard done by. He's going to do it. He's going to save it. Really well done. And the good news story today comes from Tom Dumoulin, who holds pink to huge cheers. Chapeau. Great ride. Dumoulin's over. He remains the leader of the Giro d'Italia, with the stage going to Vincenzo Nibali. But wow, do we have a Giro d'Italia on our hands now? The gaps are minute. Dumoulin leads the Giro by 31 seconds from Quintana. Nibali is within 1 minute and 12. Pinot is fourth at 2:38. Zaccarin is at 2:40. But Tom Dumoulin shows class, character, courage, and still leads. Nibali wins stage 16. The Italians have been waiting for a long time for this. The first victory of the 100 Giro goes to Italy's top modern cyclist. Mikel Landa in second. Nairo Quintana third on the day, with fourth and fifth for Pozzovivo and Zaccarin. Now the chaos, the disgust, the recriminations begin. Tom Dumoulin will not stay quiet. We'll talk about that overnight. This is Nibali riding a perfect last few hundred metres. Delight for him, heartbreak for Mikel Landa.
Yes, well, again, for Landa, just that little bit too short in the end. And of course, Nibali, the fresher man, just in the end of the last number of metres and just taking the sprint. But what a day and what a performance by Nibali on the stage. The Queen stage of the 100 Giro, the first Italian win, and of course the pink jersey Tom Dumoulin. You know, what a fight he put up, and it looked like he was going to lose many minutes when you see him having the problem, having to stop, but just fought all the way, and chapeau to all the riders. But from Tom Dumoulin, a monstrous performance.
The feel-good performance of the day from Tom Dumoulin, an Italian delight. All the drama. He won't be feeling $1 million at the minute. Who knows what's going on with his health as well as to the reason for the stoppage, but that is one of the best 6 hours of entertainment I think I've ever seen.
Certainly, I think the day's entertainment right from the kilometre zero all the way. It was such exciting racing, and you know, sometimes you can get that in the earlier part, but then it kind of eases off as you go further into the stage. But not today. It was just action all the way to the finish line.
Dumoulin leads by 31 seconds, retains the Maglia Rosa. Vincenzo Nibali finally brings it home for Italy.